Toast, a homeless girl hears noise in cardboard box. What was inside changed her life. Ashley Johnson walked through the wet streets of New York City looking for a dry place to spend the night when she heard a strange noise coming from an abandoned cardboard box. The 16-year-old girl had lived on the streets for 3 years, ever since she ran away from the shelter where she grew up, and she knew that any discovery could mean survival or danger. It was then that she crouched beside the damp box and heard that faint noise again, almost imperceptible. Her hands trembled as she slowly opened the wet cardboard flaps. Inside, wrapped in a dirty, torn blanket, was a baby who couldn't have been more than a few months old. "Oh my God," Ashley murmured, looking around the deserted street. The baby whimpered softly, lips blue from the cold. Ashley felt her heart race. She could barely take care of herself. How could she care for a child? But when she lifted the little one into her arms, she felt something she hadn't experienced in years, the sense of being needed, of having a purpose. The baby stopped crying and stared at her with big, dark eyes. "It's okay, little one," she whispered, trying to warm him with her own body. That's when she noticed a folded piece of paper inside the box. With one hand, she unfolded the damp, smudged note. The words were hard to read, but she managed to make them out. "Please, take care of Ethan. I'll come back when I can. Heather." Ashley felt a tightness in her chest. Someone had abandoned this child but promised to return. What if the mother showed up? What if the police found her with the baby? What if they thought she had stolen him? Her thoughts were interrupted by the baby's louder cries. Ethan, now she knew his name, was hungry and cold. Ashley looked back into the box and found an empty bottle and a few dirty diapers. "I need to get milk," she said to herself, standing up with the baby in her arms. Ashley knew these streets well. She knew where to find food, where to hide from the rain, where to sleep undisturbed. But now she had a responsibility that changed everything. She walked to Mr. Frank's bakery. He often gave day-old bread to the homeless. It was early morning, and the shop was closed, but she knew the baker arrived early to prepare the day's bread. She sat on the sidewalk in front of the bakery, shielding Ethan from the light drizzle that had begun to fall. The baby cried louder, and she didn't know what to do. "Shh, it's okay, Ethan." She tried to soothe him, rocking him gently. A few people hurried past, avoiding looking at her. Ashley was used to it. To most people, she was invisible. When the sun began to rise, Mr. Frank arrived to open the bakery. He was a 60-year-old man with graying hair and a kind smile, always willing to help those in need. "Ashley?" He stopped when he saw her with the baby. "Where did this child come from?" "I found him abandoned, Mr. Frank," she replied, her eyes filled with tears. "I need milk. He's really hungry." The baker looked around, worried. "Ashley, you can't keep this baby. You need to take him to the authorities. Please, just help me with some milk," she begged. "I'll figure out what to do later." Mr. Frank sighed and went inside the bakery. He returned minutes later with a warm bottle of milk and some bread. "This is just for today," he said, though his voice was gentle. "You need to decide what to do with this child." Ashley thanked him and gave the bottle to Ethan, who drank the milk eagerly. Watching the baby eat brought her immense relief, but also deepened her sense of responsibility. She spent the day walking through the city, searching for a safe place to stay with Ethan. The baby slept in her arms most of the time, but when he woke, he cried loudly. Ashley realized she knew nothing about taking care of children. That afternoon, she went to see Mrs. Wilson, an elderly woman who lived in a small house on the outskirts and often helped the homeless with showers and meals. "Oh my goodness, Ashley," Mrs. Wilson exclaimed as she opened the door. "Where did this baby come from?" "I found him abandoned, Mrs. Wilson. Please help me. I don't know what to do." The woman looked at Ethan, who was sleeping peacefully in Ashley's arms. Her heart ached, but she knew the difficulties this would bring. "Sweetheart, you can't keep this child. He needs medical care, a real home. But what if his mother comes back?" Ashley showed her the note. She wrote that she'd return. Mrs. Wilson read the damp paper and sighed. That might just be her way of feeling better about abandoning her son. "You need to think about what's best for the child." "I can take care of him," Ashley insisted, even though she knew it wasn't true. How, dear? You barely have a place to sleep, no money for diapers or milk. This baby could get sick. Ashley felt the words like a punch to the gut, because she knew Mrs. Wilson was right. But the thought of handing Ethan over to strangers terrified her. Can I stay here tonight? Just tonight, and tomorrow I'll decide what to do. Mrs. Wilson hesitated, but finally agreed. Just tonight, Ashley. And tomorrow you take this child to Child Protective Services. That night, Ashley lay on the old mattress Mrs. Wilson had placed in the living room, with Ethan sleeping beside her. For the first time in years, she felt like part of a family, even if it was just an illusion. But in the middle of the night, Ethan started crying uncontrollably. He was warm and seemed to be in pain. Ashley tried everything, feeding him, changing his diaper, rocking him, but nothing worked. "Mrs. Wilson," she called out desperately. The woman woke up and came to see what was happening. When she touched the baby's forehead, she grew worried. "He has a fever, Ashley. He needs to go to the hospital now. But they'll take him from me. If you don't take him, he could get worse. Do you want something bad to happen to him?" Heartbroken, Ashley wrapped Ethan in a blanket and ran to the nearest hospital. The baby wouldn't stop crying, and his fever kept rising. At the hospital, the nurses took Ethan immediately and brought him in for examination. Ashley waited in the lobby, desperate and alone. A social worker approached her. "Are you the child's mother?" "No, I found him abandoned." Ashley showed her the note. The woman examined the paper and asked several questions about where and when Ashley had found the baby. Then she asked for her ID. "You're underage," the social worker noted. "I'll need to call Child Protective Services." "Please, no, I just wanted to help him." "I know, sweetheart, but you need help too." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. 2 hours later, representatives from Child Protective Services arrived. Ethan was doing better. His fever had gone down and the doctors said it was just a cold. But now Ashley faced her worst nightmare. "Ashley, you did the right thing bringing the baby to the hospital," said the caseworker, a middle-aged woman named Jennifer. "But now we need to find a proper home for him." "What if his mother comes back?" Ashley insisted. "She wrote that she'd return. If that happens, she can go through the courts, but until then the baby needs proper care." Jennifer explained that Ethan would be placed with a temporary family while they searched for relatives or a permanent adoptive home. "What about me?" Ashley asked, her voice breaking. "You need to go back to a shelter. The streets are no place for a teenager." "No." Ashley stood up, desperate. "I'm never going back to that place." "Why did you run away from the shelter?" "Ashley?" The question brought back painful memories. Ashley remembered the constant fights, the other teens who stole her things, the caregivers who didn't really care. But most of all, she remembered Brian, the boy she considered a brother, who had mysteriously disappeared one night. "Because no one there cares about us," she answered softly. "There are other shelters, better places." "No, I want to stay with Ethan," Jennifer sighed. "Ashley, you're 16. You can't adopt a child. And even if you could, you're not in a position to raise a baby." "Then help me get there," Ashley shouted, desperate. The argument was interrupted when a nurse brought Ethan back. The baby was calm, looking around curiously. "He's fine now," the nurse said. "It was just a cold." Ashley held Ethan in her arms and felt her heart break. She knew this might be the last time he'd be in her arms. "Please," she whispered to Jennifer. "At least let me know how he's doing. He has no one in the world." "He has you. Who cares about him?" Jennifer said gently, touching Ashley's shoulder. "And that's already so important." Jennifer explained that Ethan would stay temporarily with a family registered in the foster care program, the Millers, while they looked for a permanent solution. "They're good people, Ashley. They'll take good care of him. Can I see him once in a while? It's not allowed, but if you work on improving your situation, maybe in the future." That vague hope was all Ashley had. She kissed Ethan's forehead and handed him to the nurse, feeling as if she were tearing out a piece of her heart. "I'll find you again," she whispered to the baby. "I promise." Ashley left the hospital alone and lost. For the first time since finding Ethan, she realized the full weight of what had happened. In just 2 days, her life had gained meaning and then shattered completely. She wandered the streets, aimlessly, unable to stop thinking about the baby. Was he okay? Did he miss her? Were the Millers treating him with love? She spent the night under an awning but couldn't sleep. Every noise reminded her of Ethan's cries. Every moment of silence made her imagine the baby sleeping peacefully in her arms. The next day, she decided to look for information about the Miller family. She didn't know their address, but Jennifer had mentioned they lived on the west side of the city. Ashley spent days roaming the area, hoping she might see Ethan on the street with his temporary caregivers. It was a desperate, illogical search, but it was all she could do. During those walks, she began observing the families passing by. She saw parents carrying babies, children playing in parks, happy families leaving restaurants. For the first time, she understood what she was missing by living on the streets. One afternoon, she was sitting in a square when she saw a woman pushing a stroller. Her heart raced. Could it be Ethan? She stood up and followed the woman from a distance, trying to see the baby's face. When she got closer, she realized it wasn't him. It was a little girl with light hair, nothing like Ethan. Ashley felt a mix of disappointment and relief. "Can I help you with something?" the woman asked, noticing she was being followed. "Sorry, I thought I knew your baby," Ashley murmured, quickly walking away. This scenario repeated itself over the following days. Ashley would spot a small child and chase after them, always hoping it was Ethan, always being disappointed. It was during one of those fruitless searches that she found Amber, a 17-year-old girl who was also living on the streets. Amber was 6 months pregnant and looked terrified. "Are you okay?" asked Ashley, approaching the girl who was crying alone on a park bench. "No, I'm not okay," Amber replied, wiping her tears. "I don't know what to do with this baby coming." Ashley sat beside her. "When is it due?" "In 3 months. But I have nowhere to stay, no money, no idea how to take care of a baby." Hearing that stirred something in Ashley. She remembered Ethan, how lost she had felt trying to care for him. But she also remembered the love she had felt, the sense of purpose. "Do you have family?" Ashley asked. "I have an aunt, but she kicked me out when she found out I was pregnant. Said I was a disgrace." "What about the baby's father?" "He ran off when he found out, said it wasn't his responsibility." Ashley felt a surge of anger. How could people be so cruel? How could they abandon innocent children? "Come on, let's find help," she said, standing up. "What kind of help?" "I know people who can help us, Mrs. Wilson, Mr. Frank. They're good people." Amber hesitated but finally agreed. Maybe because she was desperate, or maybe because she saw something genuine in Ashley's eyes. They walked together to Mrs. Wilson's house. The older woman was alarmed to see Amber pregnant and homeless. "Oh my goodness, girls, you can't stay like this." "Mrs. Wilson, Amber needs help," Ashley explained. "The baby is due in 3 months. And you, Ashley, how are you? Where's that baby you found?" Ashley told the whole story, from Ethan's hospitalization to him being taken by the temporary family. Mrs. Wilson listened carefully, her heart heavy. "You did what you could, dear, but now you need to take care of yourself. I want to help." "Amber, I don't want her to go through what I did." Mrs. Wilson looked at the two girls and saw determination in Ashley's eyes. There was something different about her, a newfound maturity that hadn't been there before. "All right, Amber can stay here for a few days, but you two need to find a permanent place." "What kind of place?" Amber asked. "There's a support home for teen mothers in the city. They help with housing, food, even finding jobs." Ashley perked up. "We can look together." In the following days, Ashley and Amber became inseparable. Ashley accompanied Amber to doctor's appointments, helped her get the necessary documents to apply for the support home, and most importantly, provided the emotional support the girl needed. It was strange how caring for Amber helped Ashley cope with the pain of losing Ethan. She channeled all her protective instincts into helping her new friend. But things weren't easy. The support home had a long waiting list. Amber needed constant medical care, which cost money they didn't have. And Ashley still suffered from nightmares about Ethan every night. One afternoon, while waiting at a health clinic for Amber's appointment, Ashley overheard a conversation that put her on edge. "The Miller family is thinking of adopting the baby permanently," a social worker said to another. "They've fallen in love with the child." Ashley felt the world spin. Were they talking about Ethan? She tried to move closer to hear better, but the women changed the subject. That night, Ashley couldn't sleep. The possibility of Ethan being adopted permanently terrified her, not because she thought she could keep him, she knew that was impossible, but because it meant she would lose him forever. The next day, she made a desperate decision. She would find Jennifer, the caseworker, to ask about Ethan. She found Jennifer at the Child Services office after waiting 3 hours. "Ashley, what are you doing here?" "I want to know how Ethan is doing." Jennifer sighed. "You know I can't share that information. Please, I just want to know if he's okay, if he's being taken care of." "He's fine." "Ashley, he's being very well cared for. Is it true the family wants to adopt him?" Jennifer hesitated before answering. "It's a possibility. They've grown very attached to the child." "And what if his birth mother shows up?" "If she appears and can prove she's capable of caring for the child, she has priority." "But it's been 3 weeks, Ashley. The chances are slim." 3 weeks. To Ashley, it felt like an eternity, but to the courts, it was hardly any time at all. "What about me? Don't I have any rights?" "You found him, Ashley. That was very important, but legally, you have no ties to the child. He was all I had in the world. And now, do you have plans? Do you want to go back to school?" The question caught Ashley off guard. School? She'd dropped out when she ran away from the shelter. She'd never thought about going back. "I don't know." "Ashley, you're 16. You can still build a life. You can study, work, even start a family someday." How?" "I have nothing. You have your intelligence, your courage. I saw how you took care of Ethan, how you're looking after your friend Amber. You have so much to offer." Jennifer explained social programs that could help Ashley get off the streets, return to school, and find work. "But I need a permanent address, documents. All of that can be sorted out. The question is, do you want to try?" Ashley left the Department of Social Services with her mind racing. For the first time since losing Ethan, she glimpsed a possibility of a future. But was it really possible? Could she actually do it? When she reached the spot where Amber was waiting, she told her everything. "I think you should try," Amber said. "You've helped me so much. You deserve a good life. What about you? Let's do this together. I want to try too, for my baby." That night, the two made plans. They'd sign up for the programs Jennifer mentioned, try to get a spot at the shelter, go back to school. But their plans were interrupted the next day when Amber started feeling sick. She had sharp pains in her stomach and was bleeding. "Ashley, I think something's wrong with the baby," she said, crying from pain and fear. They rushed to the hospital where Amber was admitted immediately. The doctors explained she had an infection that could cause premature labor. "She needs to stay hospitalized for at least a week," the doctor said, "and she'll need complete rest for a month after that." Ashley stayed by Amber's bedside, holding her hand as she slept under sedation. Once again, she felt powerless in the face of a loved one's suffering. "Why do these things happen?" she murmured to herself. A nurse passing by overheard and approached. "Sometimes life tests our strength," she said gently, "but what matters is not giving up. I feel like everything I touch falls apart. Or maybe you're the glue holding things together. Your friend is lucky to have you." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. During the week Amber was hospitalized, Ashley practically lived at the hospital. She slept in uncomfortable chairs, ate only what she could scrounge up or was given, but she never left her friend's side. It was during those days that she heard other stories in the hospital. She met Mrs. Wilson, a 70-year-old woman caring alone for her disabled grandson. She met Robert, a 40-year-old man who'd lost his job and couldn't afford his diabetic daughter's treatment. Every story she heard made Ashley realize she wasn't alone in her suffering. There were many people fighting against immense difficulties, but they never gave up. You know what I've learned in life, Mrs. Wilson said one afternoon, as they waited for news about their loved ones. You only discover how strong you are when you have no other choice. But sometimes I feel so weak. Weak? Sweetheart, you're 16 years old and taking care of a pregnant friend. That's strength. But I couldn't take care of Ethan. I couldn't stay with him. You saved his life. If it weren't for you, he could have been in real trouble, in that box. Ashley Johnson had never thought about it that way. Maybe she hadn't failed Ethan. Maybe she had done exactly what needed to be done. When Amber was discharged, the two were released to the group home for teen mothers. Finally, a spot had opened up. The house was simple but clean and welcoming. There were 6 other girls there, all with similar stories. Some had babies, others were pregnant, all trying to rebuild their lives. Here you'll have housing, meals, and counseling, explained Patricia, the house coordinator. But you'll also have responsibilities. You'll need to help with cleaning, cooking, and most importantly, you must study or work. Study? Asked Ashley. Every girl here must be enrolled in school or a vocational program. It's a rule. Ashley felt a mix of anxiety and hope. It had been so long since she'd been in school. Would she be able to keep up? What about my baby? Asked Amber. When he's born. We have a nursery right here. You can keep studying while we take care of the baby during the day. It sounded too good to be true. Ashley was used to disappointment and struggled not to get her hopes up. In her first days at the house, she kept to herself, watching how the other girls interacted. Some were older and already had children. Others were younger and pregnant for the first time. You're really quiet, commented Jessica, an 18-year-old with a 6-month-old daughter. Scared of something? Scared I won't. Make it, admitted Ashley. Make what? I don't know. Starting over, I guess. Jessica laughed. None of us know if we'll make it, but we're trying. That's what matters. Jessica told her story. She'd been kicked out at 16 when she got pregnant. She'd lived on the streets for a while, stayed in bad shelters, until she ended up in this house. Now I'm finishing high school and taking a nursing assistant course, she said proudly. My daughter's gonna have a better life than I did. You never think about giving up? Every day, admitted Jessica. But then I look at my daughter and remember why I'm fighting. Ashley thought about Ethan. Even though he wasn't with her anymore, maybe she could fight for him too. Maybe she could become someone he'd be proud to know, if they ever met again. The next day, Ashley enrolled in school. It had been 3 years since she'd set foot in a classroom, and everything felt different and intimidating. Ashley. Johnson, called the English teacher on the first day. Here, she answered, feeling all eyes turned to her. It was obvious she didn't fit in. Her clothes were worn and simple. She didn't have proper school supplies, and most of all, she had the look of someone who'd lived through things the others couldn't imagine. At recess, she stayed alone in the courtyard, watching groups of teenagers chatting excitedly about things that seemed trivial to her. Are you new here? Asked a girl with curly hair. Yeah, I just came back after being out for a while. I'm Amanda. What's your name? Ashley. Amanda seemed genuinely interested in talking, but Ashley didn't know how to connect with kids her age who had normal lives. What grade were you in before you stopped? Freshman year of high school. Wow, what a coincidence. Me too. Want me to help you catch up with the material? The offer of help surprised Ashley. She was used to rejection and prejudice, not unexpected kindness. Why do you want to help me? Because I know how hard it is to start over. I've changed schools a bunch of times. Amanda became Ashley's first friend at school. She helped her with schoolwork, lent her supplies, and most importantly, didn't ask prying questions about her past. But not everything was easy. Many students made cruel comments about Ashley when they thought she wasn't listening. They said she was from that place, referring to the group home, as if it was something to be ashamed of. Don't pay attention to them, Amanda would say. They're just idiots who've never faced a real struggle. Sometimes I wonder if it wouldn't be better to just give up. And do what? Go back to the streets? Amanda's question echoed in Ashley's mind for days. Did she really want to go back to the streets? Or was she just afraid of trying and failing? One day on her way back from school, she found Amber looking downcast at the group home. What happened? Ashley asked, concerned. I went to the doctor today. He said the baby's growing well, but what? He asked me about the baby's father, about family, and I realized my child is going to be born with no one but me. You have us. You have the girls here. You have Patricia. But it's not the same, is it? It's not a real family. Ashley understood how Amber felt because she felt the same way. As welcoming as the home was, there was always a sense of impermanence, that it wasn't a real home. Maybe we could be each other's family, Ashley suggested. I've always wanted a sister. Amber smiled for the first time in days. You'd really do that? Help me take care of my baby? Of course, and you'd help me finish school, get a job? And what if you find Ethan again someday? Ashley paused to think. Then we'd take care of him too. A family doesn't have to be perfect, right? It just has to love each other. That night, the two of them made plans for the future. They'd finish school, get jobs, rent a small place together. It was a simple dream, but to them, it meant everything. The following months were full of hard work and dedication. Ashley pushed herself in school, even when the material seemed impossible. Amber kept up with strict medical checkups and helped with chores at the group home. But life never stops testing people. One night, Ashley woke up to Amber screaming in pain. The baby! I think the baby's coming, she cried. It was 2 months early. Ashley ran to get Patricia, who immediately called an ambulance. At the hospital, the doctors explained that Amber was in premature labor and that the baby would be at risk for being born so early. Is she going to be okay? Ashley asked desperately. We'll do everything we can, the doctor replied, but you need to prepare for any outcome. Ashley spent the longest night of her life in the waiting room. She thought of Ethan, of when she'd taken him to the hospital. She remembered the fear of losing him, the helplessness. Early in the morning, she finally got news. Amber had given birth to a baby girl weighing just 3 pounds. The baby was in the NICU, but she was alive. Can I see them? Ashley asked. The mother is still recovering from surgery, but you can see the baby through the glass. When Twigo, Ashley saw little Lily. The name Amber had chosen, connected to all those machines, her heart ached. She was so tiny, so fragile. Is she going to be okay? She asked the nurse. It's too soon to tell. Preemies face a lot of challenges, but she seems like a fighter. Ashley spent hours looking at Lily through the glass. In her, she saw the same Ethan she had found in that cardboard box. The same fragility, the same need for care and love. When Amber woke up from the anesthesia, the first thing she asked about was her daughter. She's alive, said Ashley, holding her hand. She's tiny, but she's fighting. I want to see her. The doctors said you can see her tomorrow. She's beautiful, Amber, just like you. In the following days, Amber and Ashley practically lived at the hospital. They took turns staying with Lily, talking to her through the glass, learning about the care a premature baby needs. I'm scared, Amber confessed one afternoon. What if she doesn't make it? What if I can't take care of her right? She will make it, Ashley said with conviction. And you'll be a wonderful mother. I'll help you. How can you be so sure? Because you're both fighters. You've survived things that could have destroyed you. You won't give up now. 2 weeks later, Lily was finally able to leave the ICU. She was still very small but was gaining weight and could nurse. Can I hold her? Asked Ashley, fascinated by the tiny baby. Of course, said Amber, placing Lily in her friend's arms. Holding Lily stirred the same feelings in Ashley that she had felt with Ethan. The instant love, the urge to protect, the sense of purpose. But this time was different. This time she wasn't alone. She had Amber by her side. The support of the house and a plan for the future. Thank you, Amber whispered. For what? For staying with me. For taking care of us. You're my family now. A month later, Lily was discharged and they could return to the shelter. The arrival of a baby brought joy to all the girls who took turns helping Amber. Ashley went back to school, now with even more determination. She had a family to support, responsibilities beyond herself. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot for those of us just starting out. Now, continuing. It was during this time that something unexpected happened. Ashley was coming back from school when she saw a man talking to Patricia in the coordinator's office. Something about that scene unsettled her. "Who was that man?" she asked Jessica. "I don't know. He seemed like he was from the government or something." Later, Patricia called all the girls for a meeting. "Girls, I have some news. The house is going through some changes in the next few months." "What kind of changes?" one of the girls asked. "We're becoming a professional training center. Besides housing, we'll offer technical courses and help with job placement." The news sounded good, but Ashley noticed Patricia was tense. "What does that mean for us?" asked Amber. "You'll be able to stay and join the new programs. But there will be new rules, new requirements." "What kind of requirements?" Ashley pressed. Patricia hesitated before answering. "Everyone will need to show progress in their studies or work. Those who don't meet the goals will be transferred to other programs." The silence that followed was heavy. They all knew it wasn't always easy to meet goals when dealing with so many personal struggles. "What if someone can't?" asked Jessica, who was already struggling to balance work, school, and caring for her daughter. "There are other shelters, other options." But Ashley knew the other options were often worse. Overcrowded shelters lacking proper structure, without the support they had here. That night, the girls talked late about the changes. "I'm scared," Amber admitted. "With Lily being so small, I don't know if I can meet all the requirements." "Let's help each other," said Ashley. "All of us. We won't leave anyone behind." "But what if it's not enough? What if one of us gets sent away?" It was a real and frightening possibility. Ashley thought of all the girls she'd met over the past few months. Each had her own story, her own struggles, her own dreams. The idea of seeing them separated weighed heavily on her. Then an idea came to her, one that seemed absurd but wouldn't leave her mind. "What if we created our own home?" she blurted out. "What do you mean?" Jessica asked. "A place where we could live together, help each other without outside pressures." "With what money?" Amber asked, always practical. "I don't know, but maybe if we all worked together." At first, the idea seemed absurd to all of them. They were young, with no money, no experience. How could they possibly get a home? But in the days that followed, Ashley couldn't shake the thought. She began researching housing programs, cooperatives, ways for young people to secure housing. She discovered initiatives in community economics, government programs for at-risk youth, organizations that helped with the transition to independent living. "Look what I found," she said to Amber, showing some papers she'd printed at school. "A young entrepreneur program," Amber read. "What's that?" "It's a program that helps young people start work cooperatives. They provide training, help secure contracts, even assist with housing. But we don't know how to run anything. Not yet, but we can learn." Ashley had discovered something about herself during those months. She was good at researching, at finding information, at understanding how things worked. Maybe it was a skill she could use. Over the next few days, she focused on learning more about the program. She talked to teachers at school, searched online, even called the organization in charge. "To participate, you need a defined project," the woman on the phone explained. "Something you can do together as a source of income." "What kind of project?" "Anything. Crafts, sewing, food service, cleaning. The important thing is that it's viable and that you have the necessary skills." Ashley left school that day with her mind buzzing. What if they started a cleaning cooperative, or childcare services, or support for other girls in similar situations? When she got home, she found Amber crying in their room. "What happened?" Ashley asked, worried. "Lily isn't gaining weight like she should. The doctor said I need to supplement breastfeeding with formula, but it's so expensive." "How much?" "Almost $200 a month. Where am I supposed to get that money?" Ashley felt a surge of anger. How could a mother have to worry about money just to feed her child? How could babies go without because of finances? "I'll figure something out," she said, though she didn't know how. "No, Ashley, you already do too much for us. We're family, remember, and family helps each other." That night, Ashley made a decision that would change everything. She would find a part-time job to help with Lily's expenses, even if it meant sacrificing her studies. The next day, she left school early and started looking for work. She tried bakeries, diners, stores, anywhere that might hire someone with no experience, Most responses were the same. Too young, no experience, not enough availability. Ashley began to despair. It was late afternoon when she walked into Robert's diner, where a tired-looking man in his 60s stood behind the counter. "I need someone to help on weekends," he said, "but the pay's low and the work's hard." "How much?" Ashley asked. $100 a weekend. "It's take it or leave it." It wasn't much, but it would be enough to help with Lily's formula. Ashley accepted right away. "Can I start on Saturday?" "You can, but I won't tolerate lateness, no absences, and no slacking. Understood?" "Understood." Ashley went home more excited than she'd been in weeks. She'd finally found a way to help in a concrete way. But when she told Amber, the reaction wasn't what she expected. "You can't drop out of school because of me," Amber said, worried. "I'm not dropping out. It's just on weekends." "And when will you rest? Study? Have time for yourself?" "I don't need time for myself. I need to help you guys." "Ashley?" Amber held her hands. "You can't sacrifice yourself forever. You have to think about your future too." It was a conversation Ashley didn't want to have. Thinking about her own future meant acknowledging that maybe one day she and Amber would go their separate ways. It meant accepting that nothing was permanent. "My future is with you," she insisted. "And what if it's not? What if one day I get back on my feet and don't need your help anymore? What if you meet someone? What if you find Ethan again?" The mention of Ethan made Ashley's heart race. She tried not to think about him every day, but the longing was always there, simmering. "I won't find Ethan, he's probably been adopted by now." "Maybe, but what if he hasn't? What if one day you two meet and you have nothing to offer because you gave up on yourself?" Amber's words echoed in Ashley's head for days. Was it true? Was she giving up on herself to take care of others? On Saturday, she started working at Mr. Robert's diner. The work was tough, washing dishes, cleaning tables, serving customers, but she threw herself into it. "You work hard," Mr. Robert remarked at the end of the day. "You don't talk much, but you get the job done." "Thank you." "Why does a girl your age want to work on weekends? Don't you have better things to do?" Ashley hesitated before answering. "I need the money." "For what, drugs?" The question offended her, but she understood the prejudice. "To help a friend who has a baby." Mr. Robert studied her more closely. "You have a kid?" "No, but I take care of my friend's daughter like she's my own." He thought for a moment. "You can come back next Saturday." Ashley went home. Exhausted but satisfied. She'd earned her first honest paycheck. It was a new and good feeling. When she handed the money to Amber to buy Lily's formula, she saw tears in her friend's eyes. "Thank you," Amber whispered. "But promise you'll take care of yourself too." "I promise." But keeping that promise would be harder than she imagined. The following weeks were a constant rush. School in the morning, studying in the afternoon, work on weekends. Ashley barely had time to sleep properly. Her grades started slipping. She showed up to class tired, couldn't concentrate, missed important assignments. "Ashley, I need to talk to you," her math teacher said after a particularly rough class. "I know I didn't do well on the test. It's not just the test. You seem distant, exhausted. Is something going on?" Ashley didn't know how to answer. How could she explain the complexity of her situation? "I'm dealing with some personal issues. Do you want to talk about it? Sometimes it helps." The teacher's kindness almost made Ashley cry. It had been a while since someone genuinely cared about her, not just what she could do for others. "It's complicated. Life is always complicated at your age, but you don't have to face it all alone." The teacher suggested Ashley reach out to the school counselor, that there were support programs for students in vulnerable situations. "You're smart, Ashley. But intelligence alone isn't enough if you don't have the means to use it." That afternoon, instead of going straight home, Ashley went to see the school counselor. Dr. Elizabeth was a 50-year-old woman with graying hair and a warm smile. "What can I do for you, Ashley?" For the first time in months, Ashley told her whole story to someone. She talked about Ethan, about Amber and Lily, about the shelter, about working on weekends. "You're 16, Dr. Elizabeth said when she finished, "and you're carrying the responsibilities of an adult. Someone has to take care of them." And who takes care of you? The question hung in the air because Ashley didn't know how to answer it. Ashley, do you know there's financial aid for students in vulnerable situations? What do you mean? It's money the government provides to help students stay in school. It's not much, but it could help. How much? $300 a month if you maintain attendance and decent grades. $300. That was more than she made working weekends. It would be enough to help Amber and still have some left over. How do I apply? You'll need some documents to prove your situation, but I'll help you with that. Ashley left school that day feeling more hopeful than she had in weeks. Maybe there was a way to help Amber and Lily without completely sacrificing her studies. But when she got back to the shelter, the mood was tense. Patricia was having a serious conversation with some of the girls in the living room. "What's going on?" she asked Jessica. "Vanessa has to leave," she answered, worried. Vanessa was a 17-year-old girl struggling in school. Her grades had dropped sharply after she started working full-time. Why? She couldn't meet the academic goals under the new rules. Ashley felt a knot in her stomach. If Vanessa, who tried so hard, hadn't made it, what did that mean for the rest of them? Where is she going? To a traditional shelter on the south side, far from here, far from her job. The injustice of it all made Ashley furious. Vanessa was working precisely to support herself and eventually leave the shelter. But her job was hurting her studies, which got her kicked out. It was a vicious cycle Ashley feared would soon catch up to her too. That night she couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Ethan, wondering where he was at that moment. Was he being taken care of? Was he happy? Did he ever think of her? She also thought about Lily, sleeping peacefully in the crib next to Amber's bed, and about Amber, who was trying so hard to be a good mother even though she was practically still a child herself. And she thought about herself, about everything she'd been through these past months, how she'd changed, how she'd discovered strength she never knew she had. The next day, she went to Dr. Elizabeth to start the financial aid application. As they sorted through the paperwork, the counselor asked a question that caught her off guard. "Ashley, have you ever thought about what you want to do in the future? What career you'd like to pursue?" "No, I've never had the chance to think about that." "I think you should start. You have an interesting profile. You're careful, responsible, good at research. There are plenty of fields where those traits are valued." "Like what?" "Social work, nursing, psychology, law. Areas where you can help others, but professionally." The idea of having a career, of being recognized for her skills, was something Ashley had never seriously considered. "But I'd need to go to college, right? That costs money I don't have. There are scholarship programs, financial aid, grants. If you focus now in high school, you could make it." "And how long would it take?" "Depends on the program. 4 to 5 years in most cases." 5 years felt like an eternity to Ashley. 5 more years of relying on social programs. 5 more years of not being able to properly help Amber and Lily. "That's too long," she said, disheartened. "Or it's the time you need to build a solid life." "Ashley, you're 16. If you start now, by 21, you'll be a trained professional. If you don't, at 21, you'll still be in the same situation as today." Dr. Elizabeth's words echoed in Ashley's mind for days afterward. It was true she needed to think long-term, but how could she when immediate needs were so pressing? The scholarship decision came 2 weeks later. Approved. Ashley would receive $300 a month throughout high school, as long as she maintained attendance and decent grades. When she told Amber, they both cried with relief. "Now you can stop working weekends," Amber said. "No, I'll keep working, but with less pressure. That way we can save some money for the future." "What future?" "I don't know yet, but I want Lily to have opportunities we never did." It was the first time Ashley had spoken about a future where Lily was her long-term responsibility. Amber noticed and felt both moved and worried. "Ashley, you can't give up your life for us. You are my life. Right now, yes. But what about in 5 years, 10? You'll want to date, get married, have your own kids." "I don't want to date anyone. I want to take care of you." "Why, because of Ethan?" The question hit Ashley hard. Was it because of Ethan? Was she trying to make up for losing him by over-caring for Amber and Lily? Maybe. she admitted quietly. Ethan wasn't your son, Ashley, and Lily isn't your daughter. You can love us, help us, but you can't sacrifice yourself forever. What if I don't want anything else? Then that's okay. But it has to be a choice, not an escape. In that conversation, Ashley realized Amber had matured a lot in recent months. Motherhood had given her a wisdom Ashley was still searching for. Over the next few months, Ashley's routine stabilized. School in the morning, studying in the afternoon, work on Saturdays. With the scholarship, financial pressure eased, and she could focus better on her studies. Her grades improved drastically. She discovered a talent for humanities, English, history, geography. Sociology also intrigued her, helping her better understand the society she lived in. During a sociology class, the teacher discussed social inequality and assistance programs. Who here knows someone who's benefited from social programs? Several students raised their hands, including Ashley. And do you think these programs work? Sometimes, Ashley answered, surprising herself by speaking up. What do you mean sometimes? They help you survive, but they don't always help. You escape vulnerability. Can you explain? Ashley took a deep breath. Like you get a scholarship, you can eat, but without guidance, emotional support, real opportunities, you stay stuck. What do you think could improve? I think programs should teach people to help each other, like those who've overcome hardship, helping those still going through it. The teacher smiled. That's called solidarity economics, a very interesting concept. After class, the teacher pulled Ashley aside. Have you ever considered studying social work? My counselor suggested it. I think you'd be great at it, and you have first-hand experience. That makes a big difference in this field. But it's so many years of study. And what's your rush? She's 16, it was true. Ashley felt rushed by the constant sense that she needed to solve everything immediately. But maybe that was a legacy of her years living on the streets, where the only thing that mattered was surviving the next day. That night, she talked to Amber about the possibility of studying social work in college. I think it suits you, said Amber, rocking Lily to sleep. You've always taken care of others, but it's a 4-year program, 4 years without earning proper money, and also 4 years of building a future. Ashley, Lily, isn't even a year old yet. By the time you graduate, she'll still be little. She'll still need you. Do you really think I should try? I think you should try everything you want and I'll support you. Even if it means less money at home? We'll manage. We always have. That night, Ashley made a decision that would change her life. She would strive to get a spot in the social work program. But little did she know other changes were coming. Some she couldn't even imagine. The following week, Patricia called all the girls for a new meeting. Girls, I have 2 pieces of news. One good and one that might be complicated. Everyone tensed up. In recent months, complicated news had meant girls being transferred elsewhere. The good news is we've secured a partnership with a company offering paid internships for you. A murmur of excitement filled the room. The complicated news is only 3 girls can participate in the initial program. The silence that followed was heavy. How could they choose just 3 out of all of them? How will the selection work? Asked Jessica. It'll be based on academic performance, emotional stability, and life goals. Ashley's heart raced. She had good grades now, but would that be enough? And what about emotional stability? How would they measure that? When will the selection take place? Asked Amber. Within the next 2 weeks. You'll need to present a project on how you plan to use this opportunity to improve your lives. That night, the girls stayed, up late talking about the opportunity. Are you all applying? Asked Ashley. Of course, said Jessica. It's the chance of a lifetime. What about you, Amber? I don't know. With Lily being so little, maybe it's not the right time. Amber, you have to try, Ashley insisted. If you get the internship, you'll have a steady income. That's important for both of you. And you, are you applying? Ashley hesitated. I don't know. If we all apply, we'll be competing against each other. So what? Said Jessica. In the real world, we'll have to compete with everyone. But we're friends. Exactly. Friends root for each other, even when they're competing. The idea of competing with Amber and Jessica made Ashley uneasy. They had supported each other so much these past months. How could they now fight for the same opportunity? But Amber had a different perspective. Ashley, if you don't apply because of us, it'll be a waste. You deserve this chance as much as any of us. But what if I get it and you don't? Then you'll use that opportunity to help others, like you always do. In the days that followed, Ashley focused on writing her project. She thought deeply about what she truly wanted to do with her life, about how she could use her own experiences to help others. She wrote about her idea for a support program for youth leaving homelessness, one that offered not just shelter and meals, but also emotional guidance and future planning. My goal is to help young people discover their worth and potential, even when society treats them as invisible, she wrote. I want to build bridges between where they are and where they can go. When she finished the project, she felt proud of what she had written. Regardless of the selection results, she had discovered something important about herself. She had a clear purpose. The day of the project presentations arrived quickly. 3 evaluators from the company were present, along with Patricia and a psychologist. Jessica went first. She spoke about her dream of becoming a nurse and helping other teen mothers. Her presentation was confident and moving. Amber presented next. She was nervous, but managed to explain how she wanted to use the opportunity to secure a better future for Lily. She talked about the importance of breaking cycles of poverty. Ashley was last. When her turn came, she felt her legs shaking, but her voice came out steady. She spoke about Ethan, about how finding him had changed her perspective on life. She talked about Amber and Lily, about all the girls she had met at the shelter. She explained her project and her vision for the future. I don't just want to escape my vulnerable situation, she said, concluding. I want to create tools so others can escape too. When she finished, she noticed tears in the eyes of some evaluators. The results would come in a week. Those were the 7 longest days of Ashley's life. During that time, she kept to her normal routine, but couldn't stop thinking about the opportunity. And she also couldn't stop feeling guilty for wanting something so badly that might take the chance away from her friends. Finally, Patricia called them all to hear the results. The 3 selected are Jessica Miller, Amber Johnson, and Ashley Johnson. Ashley felt such a mix of joy and relief that she nearly fainted. She had done it. But she quickly looked at the other girls, worried about how they were feeling. To her surprise, they were all smiling and clapping. You 3 were the best, said Vanessa, who had come back to visit. You deserve this chance. The internship starts next Monday, one of the evaluators explained. You'll work part-time and earn minimum wage each. Minimum wage! Ashley could hardly believe it. It was more money than she had ever seen in her life. That night, the 3 friends talked about how their lives would change. I'll be able to rent a small apartment for me and Lily, said Amber, excited. I'll be able to pay for my nursing school, said Jessica. What about you? Ashley? asked Amber. I'll save for college and also to help other girls like us. You'll never stop looking out for others, will you? Jessica laughed. I hope not. The first day of the internship was intimidating. Ashley had been placed in the Human Resources Department of a tech company. Her role would be to assist with the company's social responsibility program. Your job will be to map out organizations that serve vulnerable youth, her supervisor, Dr. Sarah, explained. We want to expand our support programs. Ashley couldn't have asked for a role more aligned with her interests. She would literally help the company help others like her. In the first few days, she was fascinated by the company's structure. Modern computers, clean offices, well-dressed people discussing important projects. It was a world completely different from anything she knew. But she also noticed the curious looks from employees. It was obvious she stood out in the corporate environment. Her simple clothes, her direct way of speaking, her life story. Where did you graduate from? One employee asked during lunch. I'm still in high school, Ashley replied. Wow, you're so young. And you already work here? It's a special internship program for youth in unique situations. The man seemed uncomfortable with the answer and quickly changed the subject. Ashley Johnson realized she would have to learn to navigate this new environment with social codes she didn't understand, but her supervisor was patient and understanding. Don't worry about the others, said Dr. Sarah. Focus on your work. You have a unique perspective that could be very valuable to the company. In the following days, Ashley threw herself completely into research. She discovered dozens of organizations working with vulnerable youth, each with a different approach, each with unique successes and challenges. You're doing excellent work, Dr. Sarah said after the first week. Your research is very thorough. Thank you. It's just, I know this reality. It shows in your work. You're not just researching, you truly understand. It was during the second week that something unexpected happened. Ashley was researching foster care programs when she came across a news article that made her heart stop. Family donates home to create new foster care shelter for children. The article was about the Miller family, who had decided to donate their home to create a temporary shelter for children in vulnerable situations. Miller, the same last name as the family taking care of Ethan. Ashley read the entire article, searching for more details. The report mentioned that the family had grown attached to a child they were temporarily caring for, and it had inspired them to help more children. Could it be Ethan? Had he been the one to inspire this change in their lives? Ashley spent the rest of the day unsettled, unable to focus on work. The possibility of having a lead on Ethan left her both anxious and hopeful. That night, she told Amber about her discovery. "Do you think it could be him?" Amber asked. "I don't know. But what if it is? What if I can find him?" And then, What? What will you do?" Amber's question caught her off guard. What did she really want? To see Ethan from afar just to know he was okay? To try reconnecting? To fight for custody? "I just want to know if he's all right," she finally said. "Are you sure?" "I think so." But that night, Ashley couldn't sleep. The possibility of seeing Ethan again stirred up feelings she had tried to bury over the past few months. The next day, she made a risky decision. She would try to find out if the Miller family in the article was the same one taking care of Ethan. During her lunch break, she called the number she'd found in the report. "Hello," a woman's voice answered. "Hi, is this the Miller family's home?" "Yes, who's calling?" Ashley's heart pounded so hard she could barely speak. I wanted to ask about your foster care program." "Oh, wonderful. We're always in need of volunteers. Would you like to come meet us?" "Yes, when would be possible?" "How about Saturday morning? I can give you the address." Ashley wrote down the address with trembling hands. On Saturday, she would find out if Ethan was there. The days until Saturday passed in slow motion. Ashley could barely concentrate on work, school, anything. Her mind was completely fixated on the possibility of seeing Ethan again. "You've been acting strange," Amber commented Friday night. "Nervous?" "It's just, tomorrow I might see Ethan." "And if it really is him?" "I don't know. I still don't know." "Ashley, you need to be prepared for anything. He might be fine, he might be happy, he might not even remember you. He was so little, and it might not even be him. You can't get your hopes up too high." Ashley knew Amber was right, but it was impossible to control her nerves. Saturday morning, she woke up before her alarm. She showered, dressed in the nicest clothes she had, and headed to the address she'd written down. The Miller family's home was in a middle-class neighborhood with small but well-kept houses. When she arrived at the address, she found a house with a discreet sign. Hope. House, temporary shelter. She took a deep breath and rang the doorbell. A woman around 40 years old opened the door. She had brown hair, a gentle smile, and tired but kind eyes. "You must be Ashley who called," she said. "I'm Christine Miller." "That's right. Thank you for having me. Please come in. My husband Paul is in the backyard with the children." Christine led her through the house, explaining how the shelter program worked. Ashley tried to pay attention, but her eyes searched for signs. Of Ethan. "How many children are you sheltering right now?" she asked. 5. 3 temporarily and 2 will likely adopt." Ashley's heart raced. "Adopt?" "Yes. A boy and a girl who've been with us for a few months. No relatives came forward, and they've adjusted very well." "How old are they?" "Ethan is 1 year and 3 months and Isabella is 2. "Ethan, it was him. Ashley felt her legs tremble and had to lean against the wall. "Are you okay?" Christine asked, concerned. "I'm just emotional. The work you do is beautiful. Would you like to meet the children?" "Very much." Christine guided her to the backyard, where Paul was playing with 5 children of varying ages. Ashley saw them from a distance, but recognized Ethan immediately. He was bigger now, with longer hair, but his dark eyes were the same as she remembered. He was smiling, trying to hold a ball bigger than himself. "Ethan, come here," Christine called. The little boy turned and ran to her, being scooped up affectionately. Tears welled in Ashley's eyes. He looked so different from the fragile baby she'd found in that cardboard box. He was healthy, happy, loved. "He's beautiful," she managed to say. "He's our pride," Paul said, stepping closer. "He came to us so tiny and fragile. Now look how strong he is." Ethan studied Ashley curiously, but without recognition. Natural, since he'd only been a few months old when they were separated. Can I hold him?" Ashley asked. "Of course," Christine said, passing Ethan into her arms. Holding Ethan again was indescribable. He was heavier now, smelled sweet, his skin soft and warm. He seemed so well cared for, so loved. "You like children," Paul observed. "I do, very much." "Do you have experience caring for them?" "A little," Ashley replied, unable to take her eyes off Ethan. The boy began squirming, wanting to get down and keep playing. Ashley set him on the ground and he ran off after the ball. "He's very active," Christine laughed. "Doesn't sit still for a minute." "And his birth family? Did they ever come forward?" "No, he was found abandoned by a girl living on the streets. She cared for him a few days but had to turn him over to the authorities." Ashley's throat tightened. They were talking about her, without knowing it. "Do you know anything about that girl?" "Not much, just that she was very young and deeply worried about him. The hospital staff said she didn't want to let him go." "What happened to her?" "We don't know. We hope she got help, that she's okay." Ashley spent nearly 2 hours at the Miller's home. She played with all the children, listened to their stories, and learned more about the family's work. But her eyes always returned to Ethan. He was clearly happy and well-adjusted, calling Christine and Paul Mom and Dad, affectionate with the other kids, completely secure in his surroundings. "Are you planning to adopt him officially?" Ashley asked before leaving. "Yes, we've already filed the paperwork. It should be finalized in the next few months." "What if his birth family shows up?" "At this point, it would be very complicated. Ethan is fully settled here. It would be traumatic to separate him from us now." Ashley understood the reality of the situation. Ethan had found a real family. He was loved, cared for, and would have opportunities. Taking him away would be pure selfishness. Can I come back other times as a volunteer?" "Of course. We always need help. The kids really liked you." Ashley said goodbye with a heart both broken and relieved at the same time. Ethan was okay. That was what mattered. On the bus ride home, she cried. She cried for the permanent loss of Ethan, but also for the joy of seeing him so well cared for. When she got home, she told Amber everything. "How do you feel?" her friend asked. "Sad and happy at the same time." "He's doing so well, Amber. So loved." "And you? Will you be able to move forward?" "I'll have to, won't I? He has a family now, a real family. And you can have one too, your own family, your own future." That night, Ashley thought a lot about what Amber had said. Maybe it was time to stop living in the past and start building her own future. At her internship, she threw herself completely into her work again, but now with a different perspective. She wasn't trying to make up for losing Ethan anymore. She was truly building a career. "You seem different," Dr. Sarah remarked, more focused. "I think I'm figuring out what I really want to do." "And what's that?" "I want to work on public policies for youth. I want to help create better programs for vulnerable young people." "That's very specific. Are you sure?" "I am. I know exactly where I want to go." In the following months, Ashley dedicated herself to her studies like never before. Her grades reached the highest level. She participated in academic competitions, took extra courses. She also kept visiting the Miller family as a volunteer. Watching Ethan grow up healthy and happy gave her both peace and motivation. During those visits, she never revealed her true identity. She was just Ashley, the volunteer who loved kids. One day, Christine made a comment that stayed with her deeply. "You know, Ashley, sometimes I watch you playing with Ethan and wonder if that's how that girl took care of him. With so much love." "What do you mean?" "The girl who found him. She must have been so brave to save him and then strong enough to let him go so he could be properly cared for." "Do you think she did the right thing?" "Absolutely, she saved his life twice. Once when she found him, and again when she had the wisdom to realize he needed more than she could give at the time." Hearing that was freeing for Ashley. For months she had felt guilty for abandoning Ethan, but now she understood she had done the right thing, the most loving thing possible. Her last year of high school flew by. Ashley excelled in all her classes and began preparing for the social work college entrance exam. Amber was making progress too. With her internship income, she rented a small apartment for herself and Lily. The little girl was growing up healthy and bright. "Sometimes I can't believe we made it," Amber said one afternoon as they watched Lily take her first steps. "Made what?" "Getting off the streets, having a normal life, giving Lily a good life. We haven't made it yet. We're making it." True, but look where we were and where we are now. It was true. 2 years earlier, Ashley had been living on the streets, and Amber had been pregnant with no prospects. Now they both had jobs, were studying, and had their own places. "And it all started with that cardboard box," Ashley murmured. "With Ethan." "Yeah, with Ethan." The day of the entrance exam came quickly. Ashley was nervous but confident. She had prepared well and knew exactly why she wanted to take that course. The essay prompt asked for a piece on the role of the individual in social transformation. Ashley smiled when she read the topic. It was as if the test had been made for her. She wrote about her experience, about how meeting Ethan had changed her perspective on life. She spoke about the importance of each person taking responsibility for the most vulnerable. She argued that social transformation begins with individual acts of care and solidarity. When she left the test, she felt confident. She had given it her all. The results would come out in 2 months. In the meantime, she continued with her routine of work and studies, but now with more hope for the future. It was during this waiting period that she received unexpected news. Dr. Sarah called her into her office. "Ashley, I need to talk to you about your future here at the company." "Is something wrong?" "Quite the opposite. The board was very impressed with your work. We want to offer you an opportunity." "What kind of opportunity?" "We're creating a new department focused on social responsibility. We want you to be part of the team." "But I'm still starting college." "We know. That's why the offer is for part-time work while you study. It's good pay, and you'll be able to apply what you learn in college to real-world situations." Ashley could hardly believe it. It was more than she had ever dreamed of. "Can I think about it?" "Of course. But don't take too long. We want to start the project next month." That night, Ashley talked at length with Amber about the offer. "It's an incredible opportunity," Amber said. "You can't let it pass you by." "But will I be able to balance work and school?" "If anyone can, it's you. You've always handled everything." "What about you, Lily? Ashley?" Amber held her hands. "It's time for you to stop worrying so much about us and start living your own life. But you're my family, and we always will be. But now you need to spread your wings and fly." The next day, Ashley accepted the company's offer. It was the beginning of a new chapter in her life. A week later, the college admission results came in. She was accepted. Not just accepted, she was among the top 10. "I can't believe it," Amber shouted when she found out. "You did it." "We did it," Ashley corrected. "You helped me get here." "Nonsense. This was all your hard work." That night, the two of them threw a small celebration. Lily, now a year and a half old, clapped her hands without really understanding what was happening. "A toast," Amber said, raising a glass of soda. "To the girl who found a baby in a box and changed everyone's lives." "To friendship," Ashley replied, "and to new beginnings." The first day of college was both exciting and intimidating. Ashley arrived early, chose a seat in the middle of the classroom, and watched as her new classmates trickled in. Many seemed to come from middle-class families, wearing expensive clothes and talking about trips and experiences she'd never had. But there were others too who, like her, seemed to be there through sheer effort. First time in college. A girl sitting next to her asked, "Yes, you? Me too, I'm really nervous. My name's Betty." Ashley. Betty became her first friend in college. She was from a working-class family and had also earned her spot through hard work and dedication. The first classes were eye-opening. Ashley realized that much of what she had lived through had scientific names and theories behind it. Her professors talked about social vulnerability, public policy, children's rights, things she knew firsthand. "You always participate so much in discussions," Betty remarked after a particularly intense lecture. "It's just that I've lived through a lot of what the professors talk about." "Really? Tell me." Ashley was still cautious about sharing her past, but little by little she opened up to Betty. She told her about life on the streets, about Ethan, about the journey that brought her here. "Wow," Betty said when she finished. "You're amazing. You survived all that and still made it this far." "It wasn't just me. I had help from so many good people." Even so, a lot of people would have given up. Balancing. Work and college wasn't easy, but Ashley Johnson was determined. She woke up early, went to the office, then to college, and studied at night. On weekends, she still made time to visit Amber and Lily and to volunteer at the Miller's home. Watching Ethan grow up remained bittersweet for her. He was developing more every day, saying a few words, running around the backyard. He was clearly a loved and happy child. "He's so smart," Christine remarked during a visit. "Just yesterday he said grandma to my mom. It was his first time." "Do you have a big family?" "Yes. My parents, my siblings, they all adore kids. Ethan will grow up surrounded by love." That was exactly what Ashley wanted for him, a big, loving, stable family. In her second semester of college, Ashley had to write a paper on success stories in child protection. She immediately thought of writing about Ethan, but wasn't sure how to approach it without revealing his identity. She decided to focus on the perspective of the foster family. She interviewed the Millers about their experience with fostering and adoption. "What motivated you to open your home to children in need?" she asked during the interview. "We always wanted to help," Paul replied. "But Ethan was the one who really showed us how we could make a difference." "How so?" "When he first arrived, he was so fragile. Seeing him transform into a happy, healthy child showed us the power of love and care. And the decision to adopt him. It was natural," Christine said. "The day the adoption papers went through, we cried with joy. He was already our son in our hearts, but now it was official." Ashley felt a pang of sadness, but also deep happiness. Ethan had an official family now. He was protected, loved, and safe. The paper turned out excellent and received top marks. Her professor made a point of praising it in front of the class. "This paper shows the importance of focusing on successes, not just problems," he said. Ashley captured the beauty of what happens when the protection system works. After class, the professor called her aside. "Ashley, you have a special talent for this field. Have you ever considered an academic career?" "What do you mean?" "Pursuing a master's, a PhD researching public policies for children. I think you have a lot to contribute." The idea of becoming a researcher, of influencing policies that could impact thousands of children, was fascinating. "But wouldn't that take many years?" "Yes, but you're young. You have time to build a solid career." Ashley left that conversation with a lot to think about. Her life was taking directions she had never imagined. The end of her first year of college came quickly. Ashley had excelled in all her classes and was already recognized by her professors as one of the top students. At work, she was also standing out. The social responsibility department had grown, and she was taking on more responsibilities. "I'm thinking of promoting you," Dr. Sarah said during an evaluation, "to assistant coordinator." "Really? You've shown leadership, knowledge, and, most importantly, passion for what you do." Those are rare qualities. But I'm still in college. Exactly. By the time you graduate, you'll already have management experience. That will be very valuable in the job market. That night, Ashley called Amber to share the news. "A promotion!" Amber shouted. "I'm so proud of you. I still can't believe everything's working out. It's working out because you deserve it. You worked hard for this. And how are you two doing?" "Great. Lily is talking up a storm, and I got her a spot at daycare. And I have some news too." "What news?" "I met someone." The silence that followed was telling. It was the first time Amber had mentioned romantic interest since Lily was born. "Tell me everything," said Ashley, trying to hide any trace of worry. "His name is Robert. He works at the same company as me. He's so sweet with Lily, very patient with me." "And you're happy?" "I am. Very happy." Ashley was genuinely happy for her friend, but she also felt a pang of fear. What if Amber moved on with her life and didn't need her anymore? What if the dynamic they'd built changed completely? "I want to meet him," she said. "Of course. How about dinner at my place?" "On Saturday." Saturday came, and Ashley went to meet Robert. He was a kind 25-year-old man, clearly in love with Amber and Lily. "Amber talks about you a lot," he said. "She says you practically saved their lives." "That's an exaggeration," Ashley replied awkwardly. "It's not," Amber insisted. "If it weren't for you, I don't know where Lily and I would be today." During dinner, Ashley watched the new family's dynamic. Robert was affectionate with Lily, respectful toward Amber, and clearly committed to the relationship. "Are you thinking of moving in together?" Ashley asked. "We're considering it," Amber said. "Maybe by the end of the year." "And marriage?" Amber and Robert exchanged a glance and smiled. "We're thinking about that too," Robert said. "I love these two. I want to build a family with them." Ashley felt happy and nostalgic at the same time. Amber was truly moving forward, building her own future. It was what she'd always wanted for her friend, but it also meant the phase where they were each other's family was coming to an end. On her way home, Ashley reflected on the changes in her life. Amber was building her own family. Ethan was happy with the Millers, and she was building a solid career. For the first time since finding Ethan in that cardboard box, she was alone. But it was a different kind of loneliness than what she'd experienced on the streets. It was the loneliness of someone discovering who she really was, independent of caring for others. In her second year of college, Ashley decided to get more involved in extracurricular activities. She joined the student council, participated in research groups, and volunteered with different organizations. It was during one of these volunteer projects that she met Dr. Charles, a retired professor who worked with young people transitioning out of the foster system. "You have a very interesting perspective on these issues," he remarked, after a presentation Ashley gave on youth policies. "Well, I've lived through some of it." "Really? Tell me about it." Ashley shared her story with Dr. Charles, who listened, attentively and respectfully. "Have you ever thought about documenting your experience?" he asked. "How do you mean?" "Writing about your journey. It could become a book, a documentary. Your story could inspire others." "I don't know. It's very personal. That's exactly why it's important. Personal stories humanize statistics." The idea of sharing her story publicly scared Ashley, but it also intrigued her. Maybe it really could help others. "Would you help me?" she asked. "Of course. I can guide you through the process." In the following months, Ashley began writing her memoir. It was both painful and cathartic. Reliving all those experiences, especially the difficult moments, brought back emotions she'd tried to overcome. But it also gave her a new perspective on her journey. She realized how much she'd grown, how she'd overcome obstacles that once seemed insurmountable. "Are you writing about Ethan?" Amber asked when she learned about the project. "I am. He's a fundamental part of my story." "What if his family reads it and finds out who you are? I don't know, maybe it's time they knew." "Do you want to be in contact with him again?" "I want him to know there's someone in the world who loves him very much and is proud of him, even from afar." It was true. Ashley had come to the conclusion that she didn't want to disrupt Ethan's life, but she wanted him to know he had been loved from the very first moment of his life. The book was finished by the end of her second year in college. Dr. Charles helped her find a publisher interested in releasing it. From The Cardboard Box to the Diploma, A Journey of Overcoming. Amber read the title. It's perfect. I'm nervous about publishing it. Why? What if people don't understand? What if they think I'm playing the victim? Or what if they think you're brave and inspiring? Which is the truth? The book launch was scheduled to coincide with the National Day Against Child Labor. The publisher organized an event at a bookstore downtown. Ashley was extremely nervous. It was the first time she would speak publicly about her story to an audience of strangers. "Breathe," said Amber, who was in the audience with Robert and Lily. "You'll do great." When it was her turn to speak, Ashley stepped onto the small stage with trembling legs, but once she began telling her story, the words flowed naturally. She spoke about life on the streets, about finding Ethan, about the journey to college. She spoke about the importance of never giving up on dreams, even when everything seems lost. "My life changed the day I found a baby abandoned in a cardboard box," she said, concluding. "But now I understand that I wasn't the one who saved him. He saved me." The audience was silent for a moment, then erupted in applause. Many people were crying. During the book signing, several people shared their own stories with Ashley. Young people who had gone through similar situations, professionals who worked with vulnerable children, families who had adopted children. "Thank you for sharing your story," said a middle-aged woman. "My son went through something similar, and your book helped me understand what he experienced better." "You inspired me not to give up on my studies," said a young woman, who looked about Ashley's age. "I also come from a difficult family, and sometimes I think about quitting." Each testimony moved Ashley deeply. She realized her story truly could make a difference in people's lives. It was at the end of the event that something unexpected happened. A woman approached her, holding a small child in her arms. "Ashley?" the woman said hesitantly. When Ashley looked at the child, she recognized him immediately. It was Ethan. "Christine?" she said, trying to hide her shock. "Yes, we read your book. When you described finding the baby in the cardboard box, we realized you were talking about Ethan." Ashley felt the world spin. After 3 years of keeping her identity a secret, she had been discovered. "Paul came too," Christine said, motioning to a man approaching nervously. "Hello, Ashley," said Paul. "Or rather, hello, Ethan's guardian angel." "How do you feel?" Ashley asked, unsure what reaction to expect. "Grateful," Christine answered immediately. "Endlessly grateful." "Grateful? You saved our son," Paul said. "If it weren't for you, we might never have known him." Ethan, now almost 4 years old, looked at Ashley with curiosity. "Ethan," Christine said softly. "This is Ashley. She's the one who took care of you when you were a tiny baby." "You've known me since I was a baby?" Ethan asked in his small voice. "I have," Ashley replied, crouching down to his level. "You were very tiny and very cute. Like I am now. Even cuter now." Ethan smiled and hid behind Christine's leg, but kept watching Ashley with interest. "Can we talk?" Paul asked. "There's so much we want to tell you." They went to a nearby cafe, where Christine and Paul shared how they felt upon discovering Ashley's true identity. "When we read the book, everything made sense," Christine said. "Why you always seemed to know Ethan so well, why you cared so much about his story." "Are you angry?" Ashley asked. "Angry?" Paul laughed. "We're moved. You're a gift in our lives." "We always wanted to thank the person who found Ethan," Christine said, "and now we know it was someone we've known and admired for years." "And now? What does this change?" "Nothing and everything," Christine replied. "Nothing because Ethan is still our son. Everything because now he can know his full story. Will you tell him? When he's older, yes, he has the right to know how he came to us." Ethan, who had been playing with some toys he brought, walked up to Ashley. "Ashley, do you want to play with me?" "Of course." They spent the whole afternoon talking and playing. Ashley watched Ethan interact with his adoptive parents and saw how deeply they loved each other. It was a family in the truest sense of the word. "Can I ask you something?" Ashley said to Christine when Ethan was distracted. Of course. Do you think I did the right thing, giving him to the authorities instead of trying to raise him myself? Christine held her hand. Ashley, you did the bravest, most loving thing possible. You put his well-being above your own feelings. But what if I had tried? You were 16, living on the streets with no resources. Ethan needed medical care, stability, a secure future. You gave him all that by making the decision you did. Besides, Paul added, you never stopped. Being part of his life, even without him knowing you were there as a volunteer watching him grow. It was true. One way or another, Ashley had never completely stepped away from Ethan. What do you think about staying in touch? Christine asked. Not as a birth mother, but as extended family? How so? You could be Aunt Ashley, someone special in his life without confusing the roles. The offer was more than Ashley had ever dared to dream, to be part of Ethan's life officially, while still respecting the family he had built. I'd love that, she answered, tears in her eyes. From that day on, Ashley's life took on a new dimension. She began visiting Ethan regularly, no longer as an anonymous volunteer, but as someone special in his life. Ethan didn't fully understand the story, but he knew Ashley was important. He called her Aunt Ash and always got excited when she arrived. Aunt Ash, he shouted one day, running into her arms. Did you bring a toy? I did, Ashley laughed, holding up a storybook. But it's not a toy, it's a book. Books are better than toys, Ethan declared, making everyone laugh, watching. Ethan grew up with strong values, a good education, and so much love filled Ashley's heart with gratitude. He was becoming a smart, kind child, full of curiosity about the world. In her third year of college, Ashley decided to write her thesis on foster care impacts on children and families. She used the Miller family's experience as a case study, with their permission, of course. It's interesting to research our own story, Paul remarked during one interview. How so? You studying our family when you're part of that story. It's almost like studying yourself. It was true. Ashley was academically studying something she had lived through in practice. This gave her research a unique depth. Her monograph turned out exceptional and was selected for presentation at a national social work conference. It was a rare opportunity for an undergraduate student. I'm nervous, Ashley confessed to Amber the night before the trip to the conference. It'll be fine. You know the subject better than anyone. But what if they ask questions? I can't answer. You'll improvise. You've always been good at that. The conference was a transformative experience. Ashley presented her research to an audience of seasoned professionals and received praise from renowned figures in the field. Your research is very interesting, said a professor from a federal university. Do you plan to pursue a master's degree? I do. Would you like to discuss potential advising opportunities? It was the academic recognition Ashley had dreamed of. Her research was being taken seriously by professionals she admired. During the conference, she also met other students and professionals who had gone through experiences similar to hers. She realized she wasn't alone. There was an entire network of people working to improve the child protection system. You should start an outreach project at the university, suggested a colleague, something that connects theory and practice. The idea stuck with Ashley. When she returned home, she approached her professors to discuss the possibility. A support project for youth aging out of the foster system, said her advisor. That's an excellent idea, and you have the perfect experience to lead something like this. But how would it work in practice? We could create a support group, skill-building workshops, mentorship. The possibilities are endless. Ashley grew excited about the idea. She had finally found a way to combine her personal experience with academic knowledge to help others. The project was approved by the course coordinators and named Bridges of Hope. The idea was to create a support network for young people leaving the foster system who needed to build independent lives. Let's start small, Ashley told the team that formed around the project. 10 youth in the first group. But finding these young people wasn't easy. Many distrusted institutional programs, while others had already given up on seeking help. It was Jessica, her former housemate from the group home, who helped her make the first connections. I know a few girls who need help, she said, but they're wary. They'll need to see that you truly understand their situation. The first group meeting took place in a small room at the university. Only 5 young people showed up, all between 16 and 18, each with stories of abandonment and struggle. "I know how you feel," Ashley began. "I know what it's like to have nowhere to go when you turn 18 and leave the shelter. I know what it's like to try finding work with no experience, to try studying without stability." "How do you know?" asked a girl named Leah defiantly. "Because I lived it," Ashley replied simply. She shared her story briefly, focusing on the hardest moments and the strategies she'd used to overcome them. "You actually lived on the streets?" asked another young person, skeptical. "For 3 years, from 13 to 16. And now you're in college? Senior year of social work, and working at a good company." The mood in the room shifted. Ashley wasn't just a social worker spouting theory. She was someone who had been through what they were going through. "What do you need most right now?" she asked. "A job," said Leah. "But no one wants to hire us." "Housing," said another. "The programs are all temporary." "Someone who believes in us," said a petite girl named Amy. Ashley Johnson noted all the needs and began thinking of practical solutions. In the following weeks, the project started taking shape. Ashley secured partnerships with companies to offer internship opportunities, connections with housing programs, and most importantly, she created an emotional support network. "You're not alone," she would often say. "When one of you achieves something, we all celebrate. When someone is struggling, we all help." The project began to work. Leah got a job at a clothing store. Amy enrolled in a professional hairdressing course. Other young people joined the group. "You're creating something special," Amber said during one of their conversations. "You're helping people like you avoid going through what you did." "It's strange, isn't it? Being on the other side now. It's not strange, it's natural. You've always known how to take care of others." The project gained recognition at the university and in the city. Local newspapers ran stories, and other institutions sought partnerships. But what moved Ashley the most were the small daily victories. Seeing a young person land their first job, another enroll in school, a girl stop self-harming because she finally had hope for the future. During this time, Ethan was also growing and developing. At 5 years old, he was a bright and affectionate child who loved visits from Aunt Ashley. "Aunt Ashley, why do you help so many people?" he asked one day. "Because it's important to help those in need. Like you helped me when I was a baby." Ashley was surprised. Christine had told him the story in a simple way, appropriate for his age. "That's right, and you helped me too." "How did I help you? I was a baby." "You taught me that I could be strong, that I could take care of someone, even though I was young." Ethan thought for a moment. "So we helped each other." "Exactly. People help each other, Ethan. That's how the world gets better." Conversations like this with Ethan always left Ashley reflective. She was raising a generation that understood the importance of solidarity. In her final year of college, Ashley had to decide what to do after graduation. There were several options: continue at the company, pursue a master's degree, or expand the Bridges of Hope project. "Why not do it all?" her advisor suggested. "Masters at night, the project during the day, the company on weekends." "I won't be able to handle all that." "You've always handled everything, and now you have more structure, more support." It was true. Ashley wasn't alone anymore, as she had been at 16. She had a solid support network: Amber and Robert, the Miller family, professors and co-workers. She decided to try. She applied for the master's program, negotiated reduced hours at the company, and expanded the project to serve more young people. Graduation came quickly. Ashley invited her entire family to the ceremony: Amber, Robert and Lily, Christine, Paul and Ethan, Mrs. Wilson, Mr. Frank, and Dr. Charles. When her name was called and she stepped onto the stage to receive her diploma, she heard cheers of "Go Ashley" from the audience. Ethan stood on his chair, clapping enthusiastically. "Today I graduate with a degree in social work," she said in the short speech each graduate could give. "But my real education began 8 years ago, when I found an abandoned baby in a cardboard box. He taught me that caring for others is the most powerful way to care for ourselves. After the ceremony, everyone went to dinner together at a steakhouse. It was an unconventional family, people of different ages, backgrounds, and stories, but united by love and mutual care. "Toast," Amber said, raising her glass, "to Ashley, who turned a cardboard box into a bridge to the future. To our chosen family," Ashley replied. "Proof that family isn't just about blood, it's about love and choice." Ethan, now 6 years old, raised his little soda cup. "To Aunt Ashley, the best in the world." Everyone laughed and toasted, celebrating not just the graduation but the entire journey that had brought them there. The master's program started off intense. Ashley chose to research support networks for youth in vulnerable situations, using the Bridges of Hope project as a case study. Balancing work, grad school, and the social project was challenging, but she had learned to organize her time and priorities. "You never stop," Robert remarked during a family lunch. "I can't." "Help it," Ashley laughed. "There's always someone who needs help. But you need rest too, some fun. My work is my fun. Nothing is more rewarding than seeing a young person turn their life around." It was true. Every success story from Bridges of Hope renewed Ashley's energy to keep going. Leah, the first participant in the project, had gotten a promotion at work and was planning to go to college. Amy had opened her own beauty salon and employed other vulnerable young women. "You're creating a ripple effect," her graduate advisor observed. "Every young person you help goes on to help others." That's exactly the idea. No one understands hardship better than someone who's lived through it. The project kept growing. It secured public funding, corporate partnerships, national recognition. Ashley was invited to speak in cities across the country, sharing her experience and inspiring other professionals. But she always came home, to her chosen family, to Ethan. "Aunt Ashley," he said one afternoon as they played in the park, "when I grow up, I want to help kids like you do." "Really? Why?" "Because you helped me when I was a baby, and now you help lots of people. I want to be like you." Ashley felt tears in her eyes. Ethan was growing up with strong values, understanding the importance of helping others. "You can be anything you want, Ethan. A doctor, a teacher, an engineer. What matters is doing what makes you happy. But I want to help sad kids like you do. Then you'll be amazing at it." That night, Ashley told Christine and Paul about her conversation with Ethan. "He's growing up with such a strong social conscience," Paul said. "And we know where that comes from. From himself, you've raised him so well. But you're also a big influence in his life," Christine added. "He sees you as someone who overcame struggles and now helps others." It was a responsibility Ashley took seriously. She always tried to set a good example for Ethan, showing how pain could be turned into purpose. During her second year of grad school, Ashley got an unexpected offer. An international foundation focused on children's rights wanted to hire her to coordinate projects across Latin America. "It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity," her advisor said. "You could impact thousands of children. But I'd have to travel a lot, be away from my family. Sometimes sacrifices are necessary to make a bigger difference." Ashley was torn. It was an incredible opportunity, but it would mean leaving Ethan, Amber, and everyone important to her. "What do you think?" she asked Amber. "I think you should seriously consider it. Opportunities like this don't come twice." "But what about you all and Ethan? We'll always be here, and you could do so much more for kids like Ethan on a larger scale. I'm scared I'll regret it, trading what's right for what's big. Or regret not trying. Ashley, you've built something solid here. Bridges of Hope runs on its own now. Maybe it's time to fly higher." The conversation with Ethan was the hardest. "Aunt Ashley, are you leaving?" he asked, his eyes filled with tears. "Maybe for a while, but I'll always come back." "How long?" "I don't know yet, maybe 2 years." 2 years is a long time. I'll miss you." "I'll miss you too. But think of it this way. If I go, I can help children all over the world. Children who are going through what I went through." Ethan thought for a moment. "Like when you gave me to Dad and Mom." The comparison surprised Ashley. "What do you mean?" "You didn't want to let me go, but you knew it was better for me. Now you don't want to leave us, but it might be better for the other kids." Ethan's wisdom at just 7 years old amazed Ashley. He truly understood the concept of sacrifice for the greater good. You're really smart, you know that. I learned from you. That night, Ashley made her decision. She would accept the Foundation's offer, but negotiate to return to the United States at least once a month. The preparations for the move were intense. Ashley handed over the coordination of the Bridges of Hope project to Leah, who had graduated in psychology and proved to be a natural leader. "Are you sure I can do this?" Leah asked nervously. "Absolutely. You know better than anyone what these young people need because you've been through it yourself. But what if I make a mistake? You'll learn. Mistakes are part of growing." The farewell was emotional. All of Ashley's chosen family gathered for one last dinner before her trip. "We're going to miss you," said Mrs. Wilson, who at 75 still took care of those in need. "I'll miss you too, but you're my strength. Knowing you're here gives me the courage to face anything." Ethan gave her a drawing he had made. It showed a woman with long hair holding hands with several small children. "It's you taking care of kids all over the world," he explained. "It's beautiful, Ethan. I'll keep it with me always. And will you think of me? Every day." Moving to Geneva, where the Foundation was headquartered, was a huge cultural shock for Ashley. It was her first time living outside the United States, dealing with people from different cultures and working on an international scale. But her practical experience and academic knowledge quickly earned recognition. Within months, she was leading projects in 5 Latin American countries. "Your work in the US is inspiring," her supervisor said. "We want to replicate the Bridges of Hope model in other countries." It was rewarding to see her ideas applied on a larger scale, impacting thousands of young lives. But homesickness was constant. Video calls with her family became sacred rituals. Every week, Ashley talked to Amber, the Millers, and watched Ethan grow through the computer screen. "Aunt Ashley, look at my tooth that fell out," Ethan proudly showed her. "How wonderful. Did the tooth fairy visit you?" "Yes, she left $5 under my pillow." Every conversation with Ethan was precious. Even from afar, she followed his growth, his discoveries, his first school experiences. "I'm learning to read," he told her in one call. "I can already read your name." "Really? Show me." Ethan held up a piece of paper where he had written Ashley in shaky but legible letters. "Perfect," she said, moved. "I'm so proud of you." After a year in Geneva, Ashley received an offer to coordinate a special project, creating an international protocol to support young people aging out of foster care. "This would be work that impacts public policies worldwide," the Foundation's director explained, "based on your experience and research." It was a unique opportunity to influence policies on a global scale, but it would also mean 2 more years away from home. "I need to think about it," said Ashley. That night, she called Amber to talk about the decision. "It's an amazing opportunity," her friend said, "but you seem tired, homesick." "I am. I love the work I'm doing, but I miss you all every day." "What if you brought some of your family over there?" "What do you mean?" "Ethan has school break next month. What if he came to visit you?" The idea of having Ethan in Geneva for a few weeks thrilled her immensely. "Would you let him?" "Of course, he's dying to see where you work." Christine and Paul agreed to the idea, and 2 weeks later, Ashley was at the Geneva airport waiting for Ethan to arrive. When she saw him coming out of the arrivals area, running into her arms, she felt overwhelming happiness. "Aunt Ashley," he shouted, throwing himself into her embrace. "Ethan, look how much you've grown. I came to visit you at work. I want to meet the kids you're helping." During the 2 weeks Ethan spent in Geneva, Ashley rediscovered the joy of caring directly for someone she loved. They visited neighboring countries, saw some of the projects she coordinated, played and talked. "Aunt Ashley," Ethan said one night as she tucked him into bed, "you're really important here." "What do you mean?" "Everyone talks about you. Everyone says you're helping so many kids. It's my job. But do you get sad being away from us?" Ethan's direct question made her reflect. "Sometimes I do. I miss you all." "Then why don't you come back?" "Because I'm helping a lot of kids here too." Ethan thought for a moment. "Can't you help everyone at the same time?" The innocence of the question touched Ashley. Ethan had pinpointed her central dilemma: how to balance global impact with personal relationships. It's hard, Ethan. Sometimes we have to choose. I'd choose to stay close to the people I love. The conversation with Ethan shifted Ashley's perspective on her career. Maybe success wasn't just about impact and recognition, but also about balance and happiness. When Ethan returned to the United States, Ashley made a decision. She would accept coordinating the International Protocol project, but negotiate to do it partially from the US. "Is remote work possible?" she asked her supervisor. "Partly, yes. You'd have to travel regularly for meetings, but you could base your work in the US. "Then I accept." 6 months later, Ashley was back in the United States, working on an international scale, but living near her chosen family. "Welcome back," Amber said, hugging her at the airport. "It's good to be home." "How do you feel?" "Complete. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm exactly where I need to be." Back in the US, Ashley found a better balance between her personal and professional life. She worked on the International Protocol in the mornings, visited the Bridges of Hope project in the afternoons, and had evenings free to spend with family. Ethan, now 8 years old, was in 2nd grade and stood out as a bright and caring student. "His teacher says he always helps classmates who are struggling," Christine shared. "And when a new student was shy, he was the first to befriend them." "He has a big heart," Ashley said proudly, "just like someone I know." The International Protocol project was going well. Ashley had managed to systematize best practices for supporting youth transitioning out of foster care, creating guidelines that could be adapted for different countries and cultures. "Your work will influence public policies worldwide," her graduate advisor, who was following the project, told her. "It's an incredible legacy." It's strange to think something that started with a baby in a cardboard box could impact so many lives. It's not strange. It's proof that small actions can have enormous consequences. The protocol was finalized after 2 years of intense work. The official presentation took place at an international conference in Washington, D.C., with representatives from 20 countries. Ashley was nervous as she stepped onto the stage to present the document she had coordinated. "International Guidelines for Supporting Youth Leaving the Foster Care System," she began. This protocol was born from the understanding that every young person who leaves the protective system carries a unique story, but also universal needs, dignity, opportunity, and hope. The presentation was a success. The protocol was adopted by several countries and began influencing public policies on a global scale. After the conference, Ashley finally felt professionally fulfilled. She had managed to turn her personal experience into knowledge that could help millions of young people around the world. But her greatest joy was still the simple moments with her family. "Aunt Ashley," Ethan said one afternoon as they did homework together, "my teacher asked us to write about our hero. And who did you choose? You." "Me? Why?" "Because you saved me when I was a baby, and now you save other kids too. And because you teach me that helping others is important." Ashley helped Ethan write his essay, moved by every word he dictated about his admiration for her. "My hero is my Aunt Ashley," Ethan wrote. "She found me when I was a baby and took care of me. Now she takes care of children all over the world. She teaches me that love is taking care of each other." Ethan's essay was chosen to be read at school during a presentation about heroes. Ashley sat in the audience, proud and emotional. "That's true success," whispered Amber, who was beside her. "Seeing that you've raised a generation that understands the value of solidarity." It was true. Ethan was growing up with strong values, understanding that his own story of abandonment and care connected him to other children in need. At 10 years old, Ethan began participating in age-appropriate volunteer activities. He helped organize toys for underprivileged children and joined food drives. "He has a remarkable social conscience for his age," Paul remarked. "It's Ashley's influence," Christine said. "She's always shown him that helping others is natural and important." "It's not just my influence," Ashley replied. "You all raised him with beautiful values too." In truth, Ethan was growing up in a family that valued solidarity and caring for the most vulnerable. It was only natural he'd develop those traits When Ethan turned 11, Ashley decided to tell him the full story of how they met. Until then, he only knew she had cared for him as a baby. "Ethan, do you want to know the whole truth about how we met?" she asked one day when they were alone. Yes, Ashley told him about her life on the streets, finding the cardboard box, the days she spent caring for him, and her decision to turn him over to the authorities. "You lived on the streets?" Ethan asked, amazed. "I did. For 3 years." "And you found me abandoned?" "Yes, you were in a box, cold and hungry." "And you took care of me even though you were just a kid?" "I tried, but I realized you needed more than I could give at the time." Ethan was thoughtful for a long time. "Aunt Ashley, thank you." "For what?" "For taking care of me, and for giving me to Dad and Mom. If you hadn't done that, maybe I wouldn't be here today." Ethan's maturity always amazed Ashley. At 11, he already understood emotional complexities many adults couldn't grasp. "You're not angry at whoever abandoned you?" "Sometimes I feel sad," admitted Ethan. "But Dad and Mom explained to me that sometimes people do difficult things because they have no choice." "And how do you feel knowing you were abandoned?" "A little sad, but also a little happy." "Why?" "Sad because my birth mother couldn't keep me, but happy because it led me to meet you, Dad, Mom, Lily, everyone." Ethan's answer showed he had processed his story in a healthy way, understanding that painful events can lead to good things. "You know what I want to do when I grow up," he said. "What?" "I want to work with abandoned children, just like you do." "Really?" "I want to help other kids like me, so they know they matter, even when they feel abandoned." Hearing Ethan talk about his future plans filled Ashley with pride and hope. He was becoming exactly the kind of person the world needed, someone who turns pain into purpose. When Ethan turned 12, Amber made an observation that struck Ashley deeply. "Do you realize what you've accomplished?" she said during the birthday party. "Accomplished what?" "Look around." Amber gestured at the celebration. Ethan growing up surrounded by love, becoming a caring person. Lily learning from a young age the importance of helping others. The Bridges of Hope project, supporting hundreds of young people. Your international policies impacting thousands of children. Ashley looked around and truly saw the ripple effect of her choices. It was a web of love and care stretching far beyond what she'd imagined when she found Ethan in that box. It all started with a decision not to walk past a cardboard box, she murmured. "No, it started with who you are, someone who can't ignore people in need." That night, after everyone had left, Ashley sat alone reflecting on her journey. From a desperate street child to an internationally respected professional. From someone who needed help to someone who devoted her life to helping others. But what made her proudest wasn't the professional recognition. It was seeing Ethan grow up knowing he was loved, that he mattered, that he could change the world. It was watching Amber build a happy, stable family. It was seeing the young people from Bridges of Hope find jobs, finish school and dream about the future. It was knowing her story had become a bridge for others to overcome their hardships. At 32, 15 years after finding Ethan, Ashley finally felt whole. Not because of professional success, but because she'd balanced personal purpose with social impact. She had a fulfilling career, a chosen family who loved her, and the certainty that her life was making a difference. Ethan, now 15, spoke seriously about studying psychology to work with vulnerable children. "I want to do what you did for me," he said. "I want to find lost kids and help them find themselves." "You'll be amazing at that," Ashley always replied. "How can you be so sure?" "Because you know what it's like to be found, and those who've been saved know how to save others." The bond between Ashley and Ethan had deepened over the years. She wasn't his birth or adoptive mother, but she was someone irreplaceable in his life. The person who'd found him first, protected him, and watched him grow. "Aunt Ashley," Ethan said one afternoon, shortly before turning 16, "do you regret anything?" "Like what?" "Giving me to Dad and Mom, not trying to keep me yourself." It was a question he'd asked a few times over the years, always while processing his story. "Never," Ashley answered firmly. "It was the best decision I ever made in my life." even though it was hard? Especially because it was hard. The best decisions usually are. And if you could go back in time, I'd do it all over again. I'd find you, take care of you, and give you to a family who could give you everything you deserved. And you? Didn't you deserve to keep me? I deserved something even better. I deserved to see you grow up happy and loved, and that's exactly what happened. Ethan smiled, satisfied with the answer. You're really wise, you know. I learned to be. Life teaches you if you're willing to learn. That same year, Ashley Johnson received an invitation to write an updated memoir. Her first book had been a success, but now her story had a complete arc of transformation. From Cardboard Box to the World, A Journey of Love and Purpose, her editor suggested as the title. I like it, Ashley said. It captures the journey well. Writing the second book was different from the first. Now she wasn't processing trauma and pain. She was celebrating transformation and hope. How do you want to end the book? Her editor asked, with a reflection on how finding Ethan taught me that true love sometimes means letting go, and how that lesson shaped my entire life and career. The release of the second book was even more impactful than the first. Ashley's full story, including her international career and reunion with Ethan, inspired thousands. Ethan, now 16, attended the launch. It's weird seeing my life in a book, he remarked, but it's also cool knowing it might help others. Does the attention bother you? No. If our story helps other kids be found and loved, it's worth it. Ethan's maturity always impressed everyone around him. At 16, he already had a deep understanding of life's purpose and social responsibility. In high school, Ethan began volunteering at Bridges of Hope, now led by Leah and a team of young people who had benefited from the program. It's interesting seeing things from the other side, he told Ashley after his first day as a volunteer. How so? Now I'm helping kids who are going through what you went through. It's like the stories come full circle. And that's exactly what was happening. The story that had begun with Ashley being helped was now complete with Ethan helping others. You have so much to offer these kids, Ashley said. Your story shows it's possible to have a happy life, even after a tough start. Now sometimes they ask me if I'm angry about being abandoned. What do you tell them? That anger doesn't help. What matters is focusing on what came after. At 17, Ethan took his college entrance exams for psychology. He placed first in the State University with an essay on the transformative power of care. I'm so proud of you, Ashley said on results day. You're my inspiration, Ethan replied. Everything I want to be, I learned from watching you. You're already everything you need to be. Now you'll just learn more tools to help even more people. Ethan's high school graduation was a special moment for the whole family. Christine and Paul were proud. Amber and Robert cheered like doting aunts and uncles, and Lily clapped without fully understanding what was happening. Speech, someone shouted from the crowd as Ethan stepped on stage to receive his diploma. Ethan looked out at the audience, found Ashley's eyes and smiled. My name is Ethan Miller, he began. 17 years ago, I was found abandoned in a cardboard box by a 16-year-old girl who lived on the streets. This girl saved me twice, once when she found me, and again when she had the courage to hand me over to someone who could take better care of me. Ashley Johnson was crying in the audience. Today I graduate and will study psychology to work with children in vulnerable situations, because I've learned that our past doesn't determine our future, but it can shape how we help others build theirs. The entire auditorium rose to their feet, applauding. Ashley was too proud to stop crying. After the ceremony, Ethan approached her. Aunt Ashley, thank you. For what? For everything. For finding me. For taking care of me. For making the hard choice for staying in my life. Thank you, she replied, for teaching me what unconditional love is. Now it's my turn to take care of others. And you'll be amazing at it. That night, alone in her apartment, Ashley reflected on the 18 years that had passed since she found Ethan. From a desperate girl on the streets to an internationally respected professional, from someone who needed help to someone who dedicated her life to helping others, from a person alone in the world to a member of a large, chosen, loving family. But what moved her most was seeing Ethan ready to begin his own journey of helping others. The cycle was completing itself perfectly. She picked up an old photo of Ethan at 2 years old, playing in the miller's backyard. In the picture, he was smiling, safe, loved. It was exactly how she had always dreamed of seeing him, happy. She put the photo away and went to sleep, knowing that the next day she would continue her work, helping other young people find their way. Because she had learned in that cardboard box 18 years ago that to love is to care, and to care is to allow people to become the best version of themselves. Ethan was ready to follow that example, and Ashley couldn't have been prouder. But life still had more trials in store to test the strength of this chosen family Ashley had built over the years. 2 months after Ethan's graduation, Ashley received a call that would change everything again. Ashley? It was the voice of Jennifer, the social worker who had handled Ethan's case years ago. Jennifer, what a surprise. How are you? Okay, but I need to talk to you about something important, about Ethan. Ashley's heart raced. What about Ethan? A woman showed up at the social services office. She says she's his birth mother and wants to get in touch. Ashley felt the world spin. After 18 years, Ethan's birth mother had appeared. Oh, what do you mean, after all this time? Her name is Heather Johnson. She said she was the one who wrote the note you found in the box. She has documents proving she gave birth at the hospital on the day Ethan was born. But Ethan already has a family. He's been officially adopted. I know, but she has legal rights. She can at least request to meet him. What are you going to do? We need to talk to the Miller family, and depending on Ethan's age, with him too. He's an adult now, so the final decision would be his. Ashley hung up in shock. How could she tell Ethan? How could she tell Christine and Paul? How could they handle the possibility of their hard-won stability being shaken? That night, she called Christine to tell her about the call. Heather Johnson, Christine murmured. That's the name on the note. How do you feel? Scared, Christine admitted. Ethan has been our son for 18 years, but also curious. We've always wondered about his story. What about Ethan? Will you tell him? We have to. He has the right to know and to decide. The conversation with Ethan was one of the hardest the family had ever had. Christine, Paul, and Ashley gathered to break the news together. Did my birth mother show up? Asked Ethan, trying to process the information. Yes, said Paul, after all these years. And what does she want? To meet you, replied Christine. To talk, to explain why she left you as a baby. Ethan stayed silent for a long time. Ashley watched his expressions, trying to understand what he was feeling. I don't know what to think, he finally said. You don't have to decide anything. Right now, said Ashley. Take your time. But do you think I should meet her? We don't know, Christine answered honestly. It's a very personal decision. There's no right or wrong. What if I meet her and regret it? What if I don't meet her and regret that too? It was exactly the dilemma tormenting all of them. Ethan, said Ashley, whatever you decide, we'll support you, and nothing will change the fact that you have a family who loves you. Even if I decide to meet her. Even then, Paul assured, family isn't just blood. It's choice, it's history, it's love built day by day. Ethan asked for a few days to think. During that time, he grew quieter, more thoughtful, clearly processing complex emotions. How are you feeling? Ashley asked during one of her visits. Confused, Ethan admitted. On one hand, I'm curious. I want to understand why she left me, if she ever thought about me all these years. And on the other hand, I'm scared. What if she wants to be part of my life? Now, what if it messes up everything we've built? Are you angry too? Ethan thought before answering. A little. Why now? Why not when I was a kid and could have grown up knowing her? Those feelings are natural, said Ashley. Anyone in your shoes would feel the same. How do you feel knowing she showed up? Scared, Ashley admitted. Afraid this might shake you up, shake our family. And curious too. Yes, I've always wondered about her, if she was okay, if she ever thought of you. A week later, Ethan made his decision. I want to meet her, he said during a family dinner, but with conditions. What conditions? Asked Christine. I want you all there with me. I don't want to be alone with her the first time. Of course, said Paul, we'll be right by your side. And I want her to understand that you're my parents, that Ashley is my family, that she can be part of my life, but she can't try to change what's already here. Those are fair conditions, said Ashley. The meeting was set for the following week at the Department of Social Services, with Jennifer mediating the conversation. Ashley was more nervous than ever. She was finally going to meet the woman who had written that note 18 years ago, the woman who had made the hardest decision of her life. When Heather Johnson walked into the room, Ashley recognized her immediately, even though they'd never met. It was obvious she was Ethan's mother. They had the same dark eyes, the same calm expression. Heather was a woman around 40, with brown hair streaked with grey, dressed simply but neatly. She looked nervous and emotional. "Ethan," she said, her voice trembling. "Hi," Ethan replied, clearly tense. Heather looked at Christine and Paul. "You must be his parents. Thank you. Thank you for taking care of my son." "Our son," Christine corrected gently but firmly. "Ah, yes, our son," Heather agreed, tears in her eyes. Then she looked at Ashley. "And you must be Ashley," she introduced herself. "I found Ethan when he was a baby." Heather began to cry. You saved him. I prayed so hard that someone good would find him." "Why did you leave him?" Ethan asked, cutting straight to the point. Heather took a deep breath before answering. "I was 15 when you were born. My parents kicked me out when they found out I was pregnant. Your father disappeared. And you had no one." "No one. I lived on the streets during the last months of my pregnancy. When you were born, I had no home, no money, no way to take care of you." "But why in a cardboard box?" asked Ashley. "Because I knew that street was busy. I was sure someone would find him quickly. And I put him in a box to protect him from the cold." "And the note?" "I really wanted to come back." Heather began to cry harder. "I thought I'd get myself together and come back for my son in a few months." "But you couldn't," said Ethan without judgment, just stating a fact. "I couldn't. I fell into addiction. It took me 10 years to get clean. By the time I finally recovered, you already had a family. You'd already been adopted. I thought it was better not to interfere. So why show up now? Because you turned 18. Because now the decision is yours, not the adults around you." Ethan listened quietly, processing every word. "Do you want to be part of my life now?" he asked. "I'd love to, but I'll understand if you don't want that. I know I have no right to ask for anything." "What do you expect?" "To know who you've become, to see if you're happy. Maybe to be your friend if you'll let me." Ethan looked at his family, Christine, Paul, and Ashley, as if searching for guidance. "I'll think about it," he finally said. "I need time to process this." "I understand," Heather replied. "I'll leave my number. If you want to talk, just call." After Heather left, the family sat in silence for a long time. "How do you feel?" asked Jennifer. "Relieved," said Christine. "She seems like a good person who went through terrible things. And scared," added Paul. "We don't know how this will affect our family." "What about you, Ethan?" "Sad for her, grateful for you, confused about what to do now." The following weeks were hard for the whole family. Ethan was clearly shaken, questioning parts of his identity he'd thought were settled. "Sometimes I look in the mirror and wonder what I inherited from her," he confessed to Ashley. "Does that bother you?" "A little. I've always defined myself by the values I learned from you, from Mom and Dad. Now I wonder which parts of me might come from her." "What's wrong with that? What if I have the same weaknesses? What if I fall into addiction too?" "Ethan," Ashley said, taking his hands, "you're not defined by genes. You're defined by your choices, your values, the way you were raised. But what if?" "There's no what if. You're a good, strong person with solid principles. That doesn't change because you met your birth mother." But Ethan's doubts were natural and understandable. Christine and Paul were dealing with their own fears. 2. What if he decides he wants a close relationship with her? Christine confided in Ashley. "What if it changes our family?" "Then you adapt," Ashley replied. "Family isn't a zero-sum game. Loving one person doesn't mean loving others less." "But aren't you afraid of losing him?" "I am," Ashley admitted. "But I also know trying to control his relationships won't work. If he pulls away, it has to be his choice, not because he was forced. A month after their first meeting, Ethan decided he wanted to get to know Heather better. But slowly, he said, "I don't want it to be a big deal. I just want to understand her story." They started meeting occasionally, a coffee once a month, a walk in the park. Heather respected Ethan's boundaries and never pushed for more closeness. During these meetings, Ethan discovered aspects of his biological mother that surprised him. "She's smart," he told Ashley after their third meeting. "She managed to get a degree in business administration after she recovered. She works at an NGO that helps people with addiction. How do you feel about her?" "I feel sorry for her. I respect what she's overcome, but I don't feel filial love, you know? It's more like she's an acquaintance with an interesting story. And it's okay to feel that way. Sometimes I think she wishes I felt more. But you can't force feelings. They come naturally or they don't." The relationship between Ethan and Heather settled into a cordial friendship. They saw each other occasionally, talked about life, but there was no attempt to build a mother-son bond. "I think it's better this way," Ethan told his family during dinner. "I already have parents. I don't need others." "And how does Heather feel about that?" Paul asked. "Sad, but respectful. She said she's already happy knowing I grew up well, that I'm a good person." "And you? Are you at peace with this decision?" "I am. Meeting her was important to close a chapter, but my family is still you." Ashley felt relieved, but also proud of Ethan's maturity in handling such a complex situation. But the challenges for the family weren't over yet. During Ethan's second year of college, Ashley received a professional offer that would test their family bonds again. "The UN wants to create a global department for child protection," explained the director of the foundation where Ashley worked, "and they want you to coordinate it." "But that would mean moving to New York for at least 5 years. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to influence global policies." Ashley was torn. It was truly the professional opportunity of a lifetime. But it meant being away from her family again, just when Ethan was in college and needed stability. "What do you think?" she asked Amber. "I think you should accept," Amber replied, surprising Ashley. "Really? Ethan is already an adult. He's 18 in college and has a solid family, and you have a chance to impact millions of children's lives. But what if he needs me? He'll always need you, but he doesn't need you to be physically present all the time." The conversation with Ethan was difficult. "You're leaving again?" he asked, clearly upset. "It's an important opportunity, Ethan. More important than being close to me." The question stung Ashley. "It's not more important. It's different. It's about helping children all over the world. And me? Am I not important?" "You're the most important person in my life, but you've grown up. You already have a solid family. You know who you are. But I still need you, and I'll always be here for you, even if I'm physically far away." Ethan didn't speak to Ashley for several days, clearly hurt by the possibility of her leaving again. It was Christine who talked to him and helped him see things differently. "Ethan, do you know how many children Ashley could help in a position like this?" "I know, but I want her here, and that's normal. But think, Ashley has dedicated her whole life to caring for others. First you, then other children. Now she has the chance to do it on a global scale. But she's already done so much. And she can do even more. Ethan, do you love Ashley?" "Of course. Then you want what's best for her, right? Even if it means sacrifices for you." The conversation with Christine made Ethan reflect on his stance. A few days later, he went to Ashley. "Aunt Ashley, I'm sorry for reacting badly. You don't have to apologize. You have every right to feel that way. But I thought about it. You always taught me that helping others is important. It would be hypocritical of me to ask you to give this up for me. Ethan, take the offer. Go to New York. Help as many kids as you can. I'll be fine." "Are you sure?" "I am, and I'll be proud to say my aunt works at the UN saving children all over the world." 6 months later, Ashley Johnson was moving to New York. The farewell was emotional, but this time there was less anxiety. Ethan was truly doing well, mature and secure in his family bonds. "I'm going to miss you," he said at the airport. "Me too. But now we have video calls, phone chats, and I'll be back every 3 months. And I can visit you during breaks. Of course, New York has so much to explore. Her work at the UN was more challenging than ever. Ashley was handling policies affecting children in dozens of countries, navigating completely different cultures and complex political systems. But her personal experience and academic knowledge helped her manage the intricacies of the role. "Your perspective is unique," her supervisor said after a year. "You humanize issues others see only as numbers." "It's because I was one of those children," Ashley replied, "and that makes all the difference." The most challenging project Ashley coordinated was creating international protocols for emergency situations involving children. It required sensitivity, technical expertise, and diplomatic skill. "We need to think of every child as if they were our own," she said, in a meeting with representatives from 20 countries, "because to someone they are." During this time, Ethan was excelling in college. His grades were outstanding, and he was already involved in research projects on child development. "I'm thinking about studying abroad," he shared during a video call. "Where?" "France. There's a 6-month program on developmental psychology." "That's amazing. You should go." "But it's far from everyone." "Ethan, you can't hold back from living your experiences because of distance. Real family withstands distance." "You're sure?" "Absolutely. It'll be an incredible experience." Ethan went on the exchange and returned even more mature and focused on his career. He became fluent in French and developed an interest in working with refugee children. "I want to pursue a master's in cross-cultural psychology," he said, "specializing in childhood trauma related to forced displacement. Such a specific field. I learned from you that difficult experiences can become tools to help others." That's exactly what was happening. Ethan was channeling his own experience of abandonment and care into a career dedicated to helping children in similar situations. When Ethan graduated with his degree in psychology at 22, Ashley made sure to attend the ceremony. "I wouldn't miss this for anything," she said. "Thank you for coming. Thank you for becoming this incredible person." At the graduation party, Ethan gave a speech that moved the whole family. "My journey started in a cardboard box," he said, "but look where it's taken me. And that was only possible because I had people who believed in me, who loved me unconditionally, who taught me that our beginnings don't define our futures." Ashley cried with pride in the audience. "Now it's my turn to give back, to use my story to help other kids write their own stories of resilience." After graduation, Ethan was accepted into a master's program at Harvard, specifically in childhood trauma psychology. "Harvard!" Amber shouted when she heard. "I can't believe it." "Neither can I," Ethan laughed, "but I'll try." "You won't try," Ashley corrected. "You'll succeed. You've already proven you can overcome any challenge." Ethan's move to Boston meant that Ashley was now in New York and he was in Boston, relatively close geographically, but both far from the United States. "Our family is scattered across the world," Amber joked during a group video call. "But still together," Ethan said. "More together than ever." Ashley agreed. During his master's program, Ethan began developing a thesis on resilience in abandoned children, protective factors and intervention possibilities. "I'm using our story as a case study," he told Ashley. "Our story? Yours, mine, my parents? How a support network can completely change a child's path. And what are you finding? That the most important factor isn't the absence of trauma, but the presence of at least one person who believes in the child unconditionally. You had several people like that." "Exactly. You who found me and took care of me. My parents who welcomed me. Every person who was part of my support network was crucial." Ethan's research was gaining academic recognition. He was invited to present his findings at international conferences. "It's strange to tell my own story as scientific research," he remarked. "But it's powerful," Ashley said. "You're scientifically proving that love and care transform lives. That's exactly what I want to prove." During the second year of his master's, Ethan received a grant to research foster care systems in different countries. He spent 3 months in France, 2 in Germany, and 1 in Sweden. "Each country has a different approach," he said during a video call. But the ones that work best have one thing in common: a focus on emotional bonds, not just basic care. What are you discovering? That children who develop secure attachments with caregivers, even temporary ones, have a much higher chance of becoming emotionally healthy adults. How does it feel to be researching your own experience? Responsible, Ethan said seriously. I feel like I have a mission to prove that investing in vulnerable children isn't just humane, it's economically smart too. When Ethan finished his master's, with honors and international recognition, he received PhD offers from prestigious universities. Yale wants me to do my doctorate there, he told the family. That's amazing, Paul said, but MIT also made an offer, and Oxford. Which one do you want to choose? Christine asked. Actually, I want to go back to the United States. The silence that followed was one of surprise. Back? Ashley asked. I want to do my PhD at NYU. I want to research our reality, our challenges. I want to help improve the US child protection system. But international universities have more resources, more prestige. But the United States has more need, Ethan replied. I want to use my knowledge where it can make the most difference. Ethan's decision to return to the United States was a turning point for the whole family. Christine and Paul were emotional about having their son back. Amber celebrated as if it were a brother's return. And Ashley? Ashley felt an immense nostalgia for the time when they all lived close. I'm thinking about requesting a transfer to the United States, she confessed to her supervisor at the UN. Why? Your work here is going very well. Because my family is there. Because I miss home. Ashley, you're building a solid international career, and I can keep building it from the United States. We can strengthen the regional office. It was true. The UN was interested in expanding its operations in Latin America, and Ashley would be perfect to lead that expansion. 6 months later, Ashley was back in the United States, now as the UN Regional Coordinator for Child Protection in Latin America. Welcome back, said Ethan at the airport, now a 25-year-old man, tall, college-educated, but with the same smile from his childhood. It's good to be home, replied Ashley, hugging him tightly. How do you feel? As she added. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm exactly where I need to be. With Ashley back in the United States and Ethan starting his PhD, the family was reunited once again, but now in different roles. Ethan as a respected researcher, Ashley as an international executive, all more mature, yet with bonds stronger than ever. Look how far we've come, said Amber during a reunion dinner. Who would have thought that girl who found a baby in a box would become a UN executive? And who would have thought that baby would become a doctor, added Paul. Life is full of surprises, said Ashley, but the best surprises come when you don't give up, even when everything seems impossible. Ethan was developing his doctoral thesis on innovative models of foster care in the United States. His research was identifying best practices that could be replicated nationwide. I want my thesis to become public policy, he said. What do you mean? I want the recommendations from my research to be implemented by the government, not just stay in academia. That's very ambitious. I learned from you that we should dream big. Small dreams don't change the world. It was exactly the kind of ambition Ashley had hoped to see in Ethan. He wasn't just studying social issues, he was preparing to change them. During his PhD, Ethan began working part-time at the Bridges of Hope project, now led by Leah, but with a large team of former beneficiaries. It's interesting being here as a professional, he remarked. When I was a teenager, I came here as a volunteer. Now I come as a psychologist. How does it feel helping kids who've been through situations like yours? Powerful, Ethan admitted, because I can look them in the eye and say, I know exactly how you feel and I know you can overcome this. And do they believe you? They do, because they see it's possible, that someone like them made it. Ethan's work at the project was yielding impressive results. The youth he worked with had remarkably high success rates, finding jobs, returning to school, building healthy relationships. Your work is getting attention, said Leah. People from the government want to learn about our methodology. Really? The Department of Social Services wants to partner with us. They want to replicate our model in other cities. It was exactly what Ethan had dreamed of, seeing his work expand nationally. Meanwhile, Ashley was implementing innovative programs through the UN. Her office had become a reference for child protection in Latin America. "You're changing the landscape of child welfare in the region," said a UN representative during a visit to the United States. "We're trying," replied Ashley, "but there's still a lot of work to do." "What would you consider your biggest success so far?" "A 30% reduction in repeat abandonment cases in countries where we've implemented our protocols." "How did you achieve that?" "By focusing on families, not just children. We realized that to protect a child, sometimes we need to help the whole family." It was a revolutionary approach gaining international recognition. Ashley had developed programs that identified at-risk families before abandonment occurred. "Prevention is always better than intervention," she often said. When Ethan was in his third year of his PhD, something unexpected happened. Heather, Ethan's birth mother, called asking for help. "Ethan, I'm sorry to bother you, but I'm going through a tough time." "What happened?" "My job at the NGO ended. They lost funding and I'm struggling to pay rent." Ethan stayed, silent, unsure how to respond. "I know I have no right to ask for anything, but I have no one else." "Heather, you don't have to help me financially, just, do you know anyone who works with NGOs? Maybe someone who's hiring?" Ethan talked to his family about Heather's request. "What do you think I should do?" "Help her," Christine said. "Immediately." "Really? She's a person who's been through hardships like anyone else. If you can help, you should." "But she's my birth mother. Doesn't that make it weird?" "It does," Paul admitted. "But it doesn't make it wrong." Ashley Johnson had an interesting perspective on the situation. "Ethan, you've always said you want to help vulnerable people. Heather is vulnerable. It's different. It's personal. But that doesn't mean you should ignore it." Ethan decided to help Heather, but set clear boundaries. "I can ask around about job opportunities," he said, "but our relationship stays as friends, not family." "I completely understand," Heather replied. "And thank you." Ethan got Heather a referral at an NGO working with addiction recovery. Her personal experience with addiction and sobriety made her an ideal candidate. "Thank you," Heather said when she got the job. "You saved me." "Just returning the favor," Ethan answered. "You gave me life. Now I'm helping you rebuild yours. You're an amazing person. Your parents raised you well." They really did. The situation with Heather made Ethan reflect on forgiveness, second chances, and the complexity of human relationships. "I learned something important," he told Ashley. "What?" "That helping doesn't mean forgiving everything or forgetting grudges. It means choosing to do good, regardless of how we feel." "Do you still hold grudges?" "Against her? I do, probably always will. But that doesn't stop me from helping when I can." "That's very mature of you. I learned from you. You've always helped people, even when they didn't necessarily deserve it." It was true. Ashley had spent her whole life helping others, sometimes even getting hurt because of it. But she never let that stop her. In Ethan's final year of his PhD, something happened that would shift the family dynamic again. Lily, now 16, announced she wanted to study abroad in the United States. "A whole year?" Amber asked, worried. "It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Mum. I'll study at a top school and be close to Aunt Ashley when she travels to New York." Lily had grown into a bright, determined teenager. She spoke 3 languages fluently and had excellent grades. "I support it," Robert said. "It's an experience that'll shape her life." "But she's so young." "The same age I was when I started working at the company," Amber recalled. "It's different. It's different because she has opportunities we didn't," Ashley said. "We can't hold her back out of fear." The decision was hard for Amber, but she eventually agreed. Lily would leave for the United States the following semester. "Our family is spreading out again," Ethan remarked. "But this time by choice, by opportunity," Ashley said. "It's not like when circumstances forced us apart." True. When Lily left for her exchange, the whole family saw her off at the airport. She was confident, excited, a far cry from the fragile baby Ashley had helped Amber raise. "Take care of Aunt Ashley for me," Lily teased Ethan. "And you take care of you," he replied, "and study hard." "I'll study and make our family proud over there." "You already do," said Ashley proudly. With Lily in the United States, Ethan finishing his doctorate, and Ashley well established at the UN, the family had entered a new phase of maturity and fulfillment. "Sometimes I stop to think about everything we've been through," said Amber in a conversation with Ashley. "And how do you feel?" "Proud. Tired sometimes, but proud." "Of what?" "Of raising a daughter who has the courage to fly to the other side of the world, of being part of a family that loves each other even from a distance. We raised brave people. We raised people who know how to love and be loved." That was exactly it. Each family member had learned to balance independence with connection, ambition with love, personal growth with family responsibility. When Ethan defended his doctoral thesis at 28, the whole family was there, including Lily, who returned from the United States just for the occasion. Transforming Bonds: How Support Networks Can Redefine Trajectories of Child Abandonment. He read the title of his thesis. The examination committee was impressed not only by the academic quality of the research, but by its emotional and human depth. "This thesis isn't just an academic contribution," said his advisor. "It's a manifesto on the transformative power of love and care." "Thank you," Ethan replied. "It represents not just my research, but my family's story." After the defense, there was a celebration where Ethan gave an emotional speech. "This thesis exists because 29 years ago, a 16-year-old girl decided not to walk past a cardboard box on the street," he said, looking at Ashley. "It exists because a family decided loving an abandoned child was worth any sacrifice," he continued, glancing at Christine and Paul. "It exists because a friend taught me that family is built through choice and dedication," he said, smiling at Amber. "And it exists because all of you showed me our story doesn't end where it began. It transforms every day, with every choice, with every person we choose to love." Ashley was crying with pride. Seeing Ethan become a doctor, a respected researcher, a person of integrity and love, it was the fulfillment of every dream she'd ever had for him. "Now it's time to turn this research into action," Ethan said. "I want every abandoned child in the United States to have the chance I did." And he truly succeeded. In the months after his defense, Ethan presented his research to the federal government, which decided to implement his recommendations as national policy. "The Bonds program will be rolled out in every state capital," announced the Secretary of Social Services, "based on the research of Dr. Ethan Miller." It was an incredible achievement for someone so young. Ethan had turned his personal experience into public policy that would impact thousands of children. "How do you feel?" Ashley asked. "Fulfilled," Ethan answered. "I feel like I'm finally giving back everything I received." "You've been giving back for a long time. Every day you live as a good person is a way of giving back. But now I can do it on a bigger scale." With the national program's success, Ethan began receiving international invitations. Universities wanted him as a visiting professor. Countries wanted to implement his methods. "It's surreal," he remarked. "A few years ago, I was just an abandoned child. Now I'm a global reference in child protection policies." "You were never just an abandoned child," Ashley corrected. "You were always a person with limitless potential. You just needed the opportunity to grow." By 30, Ethan had established himself as one of the nation's leading experts in child welfare. He had a TV show on Saturdays where he discussed social issues, wrote a weekly column for a national newspaper, and coordinated research at several universities. But what made him most proud was seeing the practical results of his work. Child abandonment rates in the United States had dropped significantly since the implementation of his programs. "We're saving thousands of children," he said in an interview. "How does that make you feel?" "Responsible. Every child we manage to help is a victory. Every child we can't help is a reminder that we still have so much work to do." At that time, Ashley had also reached the peak of her career. At 45, she was the UN Regional Director for Latin America and one of the leading global voices in child protection. You two have become a powerful duo, commented Lily, now back in the United States and studying international relations. How so? Aunt Ashley influencing international policies, Ethan influencing national ones. You're changing the world for vulnerable children. It was true. Between Ashley's work at the UN and the policies developed by Ethan, they were impacting the lives of millions of children in Latin America. Sometimes I stop and think this all started with you finding him in a box, said Amber. It didn't start there, Ashley replied. It started with every person who chose not to give up. It started with every choice to love instead of abandon. Do you think it was fate? I think it was possibility, and we turned possibility into reality. When Ethan turned 32, he announced a decision that surprised the family. I want to adopt a child, he said during dinner. Really? Asked Christine. Really. I'm single, I have a stable career, and I can offer love and opportunities to a child who needs it. What age? It doesn't matter, but I'd prefer an older child, one with fewer chances of being adopted. How did you come to this decision? I work with so many children, and I always think how I'd love to take one home, give them a family. Ethan's decision to become an adoptive father was natural given his history and career, but it still moved the whole family. You're going to be a wonderful father, said Ashley. How can you be sure? Because you know what it's like to be a child who needs love, and because you had the best examples of fatherhood. The adoption process took several months. Ethan prepared by taking courses, setting up the house and studying parenting. When he was finally called to meet Sophie, an 8-year-old girl who had been through several foster homes, he knew immediately she was the one. Why do you want to adopt me? Sophie asked, blunt as only children can be. Because every child deserves a family. And because I have so much love to give. You won't send me back if I do something wrong? The question broke Ethan's heart. Never. Family is forever. Even if I break something? Even then. Even if I get bad grades? Even then. Even if I throw a tantrum? Even then. Sophie, do you know anyone who's ever loved you unconditionally? I don't know what that means. It means loving without conditions. Loving even when someone does wrong. It's the kind of love I want to give you. Sophie thought for a moment. Can I try it? Of course, and if you like it, you can stay forever. What if I don't like it? Then we'll talk and figure it out, but I'll try to make you like it. 6 months later, the adoption was finalized. Ethan was now officially Sophie's father. How do you feel? Asked Ashley. Complete, Ethan replied, holding Sophie in his arms. I feel like I've come full circle. I was a child who needed a family. Now I'm an adult who can give a family to a child. And you, Sophie, how do you feel? Happy, replied the girl. Daddy Ethan said I can call all of you family too. Of course you can, said Christine. You're our granddaughter now. And our niece, added Amber. And our daughter in heart, said Ashley. Watching Ethan become a father was one of the most moving experiences of Ashley's life. He was patient, affectionate, dedicated. Exactly the kind of father every child deserves. Sometimes I look at Ethan with Sophie and remember you with me when I was little, said Lily. How so? The same dedication, the same unconditional love. You taught him how to be a father even before he had children. It was a profound observation. Ashley had indeed been a mother figure to Ethan, even though she was only 2 years older. And now he was passing on that same care to Sophie. We're creating a dynasty of caregivers, Amber joked. How so? You took care of Ethan. Ethan now takes care of Sophie. Lily will care for others in the future. It's a chain of love. I hope so. With Sophie and the family, gatherings became even livelier. The girl was bright, curious, and quickly adapted to the family dynamic. Aunt Ashley, she said one afternoon, is it true you found Daddy Ethan in a box when he was a baby? It's true. And why didn't you keep him? Because he needed a family who could take better care of him than I could at the time. But weren't you sad? I was very sad. But I was also happy because I knew he'd be well cared for. And now he's taking care of me. That's right. So you helped me too, huh? If you hadn't taken care of him, he wouldn't be my dad now. Sophie's simple logic moved Ashley deeply. It was true. Caring for Ethan decades ago had created a chain of care that now benefited Sophie. That's exactly right, Sophie. When we care for someone, we end up caring for many people. Will I take care of someone too when I grow up? If you want to. Caring for others is a choice, not an obligation. I want to. I want to be just like you. Little by little, Sophie became fully part of the family. She called Ethan Dad, Christine and Paul Grandma and Grandpa, Ashley Aunt, Amber and Robert Uncle and Aunt, and Lily Cousin. Our family keeps growing, Paul remarked, and happier, added Christine. It was true, every new person who joined the family brought more joy, more love, more stories to share. When Sophie turned 10, 2 years after the adoption, Ethan threw a special party. This party isn't just for your birthday, he said. It's to celebrate 2 years as a family. 2 years that changed my life, Sophie said. How so? Before I didn't know what a real family was. Now I do. And what is a real family? It's people who care for you even when you do something wrong. It's people who are happy when you're happy. It's people who don't leave. Sophie's definition of family was perfect and moved everyone present. You learned it just right, said Ashley. I learned it from you. By then, Ashley was 50 years old and reflecting on her journey. She had dedicated over 3 decades of her life to caring for others, first Ethan, then hundreds of at-risk youth, then thousands through her work at the UN. You don't regret dedicating your whole life to others, a journalist once asked in an interview. I didn't dedicate my life to others, Ashley replied. I dedicated my life to love, and that includes self-love too. How so? Caring for others helped me discover who I am, gave me purpose, and brought me the most beautiful family in the world. It wasn't a sacrifice, it was fulfillment. And what about children? Did you never want biological children? I have children. It may not be biological, but Ethan is my son. Sophie is my granddaughter. Lily is my niece. Family isn't just about blood. Any regrets? None. Every choice I made brought me here. And here is exactly where I want to be. The interview made waves, especially the part about chosen family. Many people connected with the message. That family is built with love and choice, not just blood ties. Inspired by the interview's impact, Ashley decided to write a third book, this time focusing specifically on building chosen families. Chosen Family, When Love Builds Bonds Stronger Than Blood would be the title. Are you going to tell our whole story? Ethan asked. I'll tell how a family can be born from mutual care, grow with dedication, and strengthen over time. And will you include Sophie? Of course, she's the new generation of our family. The book took 2 years to complete, but when it was released, it became a phenomenon. People from all over the United States wrote to Ashley sharing their own experiences with chosen families. Your book helped me understand that my family of friends is just as valid as any traditional family, one reader wrote. I adopted 2 children after reading your story, wrote another. You showed me that love is action, not just feeling. The book's impact went beyond expectations. It began influencing public policies on adoption and foster care. Your book is being used in adoption preparation courses, her editor told her. Really? And also in psychology and social work programs at universities. It's become an academic reference. It was gratifying to know her story was helping shape new professionals and prepare new families. When Sophie turned 12, she announced she wanted to write a book too. About what? Ethan asked. About what it's like to be adopted, for other kids who are waiting for a family. What a beautiful idea. Sos, I want to tell them that being adopted isn't bad. It means someone chose you on purpose. Will you write it alone? No. I want Aunt Ashley to help me. She knows how to write. Ashley was moved by the request. Of course I'll help. Can I tell our story too? About how you found Daddy Ethan. You can tell whatever you want. Sophie's book, written with Ashley's help, was titled Chosen, What I Learned as an Adopted Daughter. It was a simple book, with language suited for children, but profound in its message. Being adopted means someone looked at me and decided, I want her to be my daughter, Sophie wrote. It doesn't matter how you came to your family. What matters is the love you build together, was another line from the book. When the book was released, Sophie, now 13, gave talks at schools, speaking about adoption and chosen family. "Don't be afraid of being adopted," she told other children. "Be afraid of not being loved, and if someone wants to adopt you, it's because they want to love you." Seeing Sophie so confident, so articulate, so full of self-love, was one of Ethan's greatest joys. "She's becoming an amazing person," he remarked to Ashley, "just like her dad. I learned from you that a child who is loved early becomes a confident adult." And Sophie was very loved. By you, by all of us. When Ashley turned 55, Ethan threw a surprise party, gathering everyone who had been important in her journey. Mrs. Wilson was there, now 80, but still caring for those in need. Mr. Frank, retired but always smiling. Dr. Charles, who had guided her first. Book. Jessica and Leah, now successful professionals. Dozens of young people who had been part of the Bridges of Hope project. "This party is to celebrate someone who dedicated her life to caring for others," Ethan said in his speech. "Someone who turned an experience of abandonment into a mission of care. Someone who taught me that finding an abandoned child can be the beginning of the greatest love story of your life," he added, with Sophie by his side. Ashley Johnson was too emotional to say much, but she managed to speak a few words. "Thank you for being part of my story. Each of you has taught me something about love, about care, about family. And thank you especially to Ethan, who turned a lost girl into a fulfilled woman. Life has taught me that it doesn't matter how our story begins. What matters is how we choose to write it every day." That same year, Ashley received the highest recognition of her career. She was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize for her work in child protection. "I can't believe it," she said when she heard about the nomination. "I can," Ethan replied. "You've saved thousands of lives throughout your career. I didn't do it alone. I had help from so many people. That's exactly why you deserve the recognition. You built a network of people dedicated to saving children." Though she didn't win the prize that year, the nomination brought worldwide recognition to her work. Invitations to speak poured in from every continent. "You've become a global celebrity," Amber teased. "I've become a spokesperson for a cause," Ashley corrected. "It's different." "How do you handle all this attention?" "By focusing on the purpose. Every speech I give, every interview I do, might inspire someone to care for a child better." At 60, Ashley decided to scale back her professional work to dedicate more time to family and writing. "I want time to watch Sophie grow up," she said. "I want to write more books. I want to travel with you all." "You deserve to rest," Ethan said. "I don't want to rest. I want to enjoy." Those are different things. And she truly did enjoy. In the following years, she traveled with her family, wrote 2 more books, gave select talks, but most of all, she devoted herself to being a grandmother, an aunt, a friend. Aunt Ashley, Sophie, now 16, asked, "Do you regret anything in life?" "Why do you ask?" "Because you've spent your whole life on others. You never wanted a husband, biological children, a more normal life." Ashley smiled. "Sophie, I have a beautiful family, a career that fulfills me, true friends, and the sense that I've made a difference in the world. What more could I want?" "But you never wanted to marry. I never met anyone who completed me more than you all already do." "And you never wanted biological children?" "I have children. You, Ethan, Lily, you're the children of my heart, even though you didn't give birth to us." To Sophie, carrying a child takes 9 months. Raising a child takes a lifetime. I chose to raise, not to carry. The conversation with Sophie made Ashley reflect on her choices. She truly felt fulfilled, whole, happy with the life she'd built. When Sophie graduated high school at 17, she announced she wanted to study law to work in child rights. "I want to be an attorney specializing in adoption," she said. "Why?" "To help other children find families, to simplify adoption processes, to fight for the rights of abandoned children." It was only natural that Sophie would pursue a career dedicated to vulnerable children. She'd been raised in a family where caring for others was a core value. "You'll be an incredible lawyer," Ashley said. "I'll try to honor your example." "You already do." Every day you live as a good person is a way of honoring it. On Sophie's graduation day, Ethan gave an emotional speech. 9 years ago, I met an 8-year-old girl who had been through multiple foster homes, he said. Today, I see a confident 17-year-old, full of purpose, ready to change the world. What changed? Love. Love transforms everything. Love builds bridges where there were only chasms. Sophie, you were my greatest lesson in parenthood. You taught me that loving a child is the most transformative experience a human being can have. Sophie was crying with emotion in the audience. Thank you, Dad, for choosing me, for loving me, for showing me that family is whoever cares for us. That night, after the celebration, Ashley was alone in the backyard, reflecting on everything that had happened over the last 40 years. From a 16-year-old girl living on the streets to a 60-year-old woman respected worldwide. From someone who needed help to someone who dedicated her life to helping others. What are you thinking about? Ethan asked, approaching her. How surprising life is, she replied. 44 years ago, I found a baby in a cardboard box. Today, that baby is a respected man, father to an amazing girl, part of a beautiful family. And you? How do you feel today? Grateful, deeply grateful for having the courage to stop at that cardboard box. And if you hadn't stopped, I'd rather not think about that. But my life would probably have been very different. Less rich, less full of love. Mine certainly would have been different. Or maybe not. Maybe someone else would have found you. Maybe you would have found another path to happiness. No, Ethan said firmly. It wouldn't have been the same. You didn't just save me by finding and caring for me. You saved me by staying in my life, watching me grow, teaching me values. You saved me too, you know? How? You gave me purpose when I was lost. You taught me what unconditional love is. You showed me that caring for others is the most beautiful way to live. They fell silent for a moment, each lost in their own thoughts. Ashley, Ethan finally said, thank you. For what? For everything. For finding me, for taking care of me, for making the hardest decision of your life by giving me to a family, for staying present even from afar, for being my inspiration and my example. Thank you, Ashley replied, for teaching me that love is life's most transformative experience. What do you think the future holds for us? More love, Ashley said with certainty. More family, more purpose, more chances to care for each other. Sounds good. Sounds perfect. That night, Ashley fell asleep with a heart full of gratitude. Her life had been a journey of transformation, from vulnerability to strength, from need to abundance, from abandonment to family. But above all, it had been a journey of love. Love that began in a cardboard box and multiplied until it became an entire family, a career dedicated to care, a life with purpose. And the most beautiful part was knowing that this love story would continue. Sophie would grow up and likely start her own family. Ethan would keep working to save other children. Lily would continue making a difference in the world. The seed planted in that cardboard box had grown into a mighty tree, its branches stretching in every direction, offering shelter and care to those in need. That was exactly how it should be. Because true love doesn't end, it multiplies. End of story. What an incredible journey for Ashley, Ethan, and this whole heart-made family. A story that teaches us that true love sometimes means letting go, that family is built through choice and dedication, and that small acts of care can transform entire lives. What touched you most in this story? Share in the comments how this family inspired you. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more heartwarming stories.